An elation for the Angels, all wrapped up in one here. Cardinals with back-to-back devastating losses.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, that audio courtesy of ESPN, yet another devastating loss.
Man, I am glad I fell asleep.
Did you really?
No, I had to stay up because that game was too tight.
Hey, you don't gotta lie to us. We know you were in bed.
No, believe me.
I didn't see your text in the group text. It's okay.
I like to watch. I don't like to text. Unless it's Blues, then I text.
Yeah.
Do you guys think those were the two worst losses of the season in back-to-back days?
Yes, 100%.
Is that what we just witnessed?
Yes. Yeah. I can look at certain games. Like the Royal Series was a really bad series, but kind of sandwiched in those, the Cardinals kind of pushed themselves back into it. You're looking at back-to-back games where you blew it late. You blew a 7-run lead, and then you blew it in the 9th inning in that one. Like, there's nothing that trumps what you just had happen. And on top of it, you did it against the Angels last night, who, 106 straight games that they had lost going into the 9th inning when trailing. Like, you can't blow a you can't blow a 7-run lead, which had to happen in, what did we say yesterday, 16 years, and then the next night against one of the worst teams in Major League Baseball, do something that hasn't happened in 106 straight games. That's the worst losses, and you're not going to find anything close to it.
And the other thing is you gave them both away.
Yes.
2 nights ago,
by your bullpen,
you lost because you walked 2 runs in, you had a terrible defensive play in left field, and you got picked off at first on a double play ball that never should have happened. That all happened and led to you losing a 7-0 lead. And then last night, you go into the 9th inning with your closer on the mound who pitched in the All-Star game a week ago, and he now has the yips, it seems. Like, he's hitting people left and right. He hit Caminero at the All-Star game. Everybody went crazy.
That's where
for
I think
good
the
reason.
yips started.
I think it might have. And now last night, he hits one batter, bases are loaded, and then he hits a batter to lose the game. Inexcusable. And I can't tell you, like, it's very hard to judge intent. I don't know if you guys had the same feeling watching it last night, and it's tough to say because it's hard to know. It felt as though he hit the eject button. Watching it live, it was like, oh, he's just done. Like, he's out. He's out of this game. He hit the eject button to get himself out of the situation. He didn't want to be out there any longer. That's how I felt watching it. I don't know if that was the case or not.
I didn't get that vibe.
Yeah, I didn't get that vibe.
Great. I'm glad I was the only one.
Maybe you were just really upset that game went the way it did.
Maybe you were ready to hit the I'm going to bed button.
Well, I was doing that one.
I don't expect that from him.
I was doing that one.
So, guys, I watched a documentary recently. My wife, anytime that there's a new documentary on Netflix, she's like, we got to watch it. Great, cool.
I'm your wife in that sense because I'm that way with Katie.
Whether it's true crime
Always
or
true crime.
cruise documentaries, she's in. All of them. The poop cruise, she went on it.
Man, why would you do that
Let's
to
watch
yourself?
it.
I watched it, but no.
Recently, we watched Shipwrecked, Nightmare at Sea.
I watched this.
I don't know if you saw this or not, Alex.
I watched it.
But first of all, I thought it was pretty good. Worth your time, honestly. Second of all,
you won't want to go on a cruise afterwards.
No, you will not. There comes a point in time, if you're on a cruise, from what I recall from this documentary at least, where if it does wreck and you hit a rock or an iceberg or something, there comes a moment of clarity where you're on board and you recognize there's nothing I can do. I'm going to die on this ship or I'm going to jump overboard.
Well, you could hold on to the door and make some space for Jack.
That's it. Those are the two options. There's nobody coming for me. There are no lifeboats that I can get on. Like, that's it. Those are my only options here. And Alex, the reason I bring that up is because with the Cardinals, I think there's one reason in particular, at least for me, as to why these most recent games have been so deflating. Dude, there's no lifeboats coming. This is it. You could look earlier in the season and say, hey, we've got these young players that can help the offense again. They can have the reinforcements with the rotations. You got Dobbins. You've got Quinn Matthews. You've got guys down to the AAA level that can help you in these areas. Buddy, there's nothing coming. This is it. There is nobody left that they can pull from at the AAA level to help them with the issue that's plaguing them right now. Because the issue is the bullpen, and they've called up their help. It's here. It's arrived. There ain't nothing coming. The cavalry, it is not coming for the St. Louis Cardinals. This is what you've got. And so what feels so deflating for me is I can't even give you an answer as to how this is going to get better because there's nothing that would give me compelling reason to believe it's going to get better. I don't believe they're buying at the trade deadline at this point. I don't believe there's stuff below that's realistically going to help you in a meaningful way. Maybe you call up Bryson Motts and he can give you some length, but I can't tell you that it's going to be any better than what you already have here based upon his results at the AAA level. So for me, that's why this hurts so much, Alex. It's not just that they're losing, it's how they're losing and what lacks for them at the AAA level to supplement this talent.
Yeah, I mean, like, again, you go back to the Kansas City Royals series. What made the Cardinals so great for the first 3 months of the season was their ability to pull off these tight victories, and it was because your bullpen was just finding ways to get the job done. And whether it's fatigue, whether it's guys that are just starting to fall back to who they truly are, you've just got nobody to turn to right now. And specifically with Riley O'Brien, when it's your closer, like if this guy's got the yips, ask yourself who's the closer for the Cardinals. Because you could go through the list. We did the Circle of Trust yesterday, man.
It's Soriano. I can't tell you that I feel great about it.
And I don't feel great, just like I don't feel great about Riley O'Brien. And what that is you don't have somebody in there that you feel comfortable with in a one-run game, and that's how the Cardinals have to win. If you don't have Weatherholt, Herrera, Burleson, and Walker all hitting for power, then you're winning tight baseball games. And if you don't have a bullpen you trust, then you're not winning tight baseball games. And there's guys, like you can mention Bryson Motts' name and say, like, put him in the bullpen. You know, when you get JoJo Romero back, maybe you put Quinn Matthews in there and move Liberatore to the bullpen. None of those makes you very confident, though, because you don't know what those guys look like in the bullpen. So it's being upstream without a paddle. It's being lost at sea like at Castaway with Tom Hanks. Like, this is where you're at right now. You're stuck, and it's the part of the rebuild that I think you forget early on for how good they were, but it's the part that becomes a reality of, hey, this is why the Cardinals did what they did, because you still need a lot of assets to develop to put yourself in a position like some of these great teams in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, their improvements have to come from internal. The guys have to figure out their ish back there in the bullpen. I mean, that's it, because BK's right. There's nothing that's really coming. And this bullpen has had its struggles for most of the year. It went on a little bit of a heater there in the month of May, and everything felt great. This has kind of been what the bullpen's been for most of the year, right? So they don't have anything internally, and the part that makes this feel worse, well, it's twofold. One, if you want to be a seller, well, guess what? This was supposed to be where your best assets were. Now they're not pitching well, or they're hurt, where JoJo's dealing with a appendectomy. But if we're being honest, he wasn't that great prior to the injury, before the All-Star break. Riley O'Brien has had the yips really for about 2 months now at this point. And the only reason we kind of quit the conversation about moving from the closer role is what Alex said. There's nobody to really circle as a candidate to take over that job. And the part that also makes it feel bad is even if you did want to be a buyer at the deadline, they're not going to buy for the bullpen. When I talked about buying a couple weeks ago prior to the All-Star break before I left for vacation, I was talking about like a marginal buy, like a starter, right? A J. Happ, John Lester-esque move. Bullpen arms cost a lot when you get to the trade deadline because it's always the last piece that your contenders are looking for. They're not going to be willing to give up the prospect capital to improve the bullpen. This is what they have, and they just got to have guys internally figure out what's going on.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. YouTube chat is available for you at youtube.com/101ESPN STL. It's 11:13. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. From Daniel over on the YouTube chat, I can't handle these shows. They'll go on a 4-game winning streak, and next week you guys are going to be talking about trading for Scooble. I know that's a little bit overstating things, but just to be clear, none of us have been in favor of them having any real buying moves like that the entire time that we've done the show.
Sorry for being a fan of the Cardinals. Jeez.
If the Cardinals were to win, their next, 10 games prior to the trade deadline, yes, the conversation will change because the information has changed. In Boston, I'm going to go out on a limb and say they're probably talking about their team slightly differently today than they were, 2 weeks ago.
No, they stick to their guns because they're proper sports talk radio hosts that say, no, this team sucked in April, and I don't care about a 14-game win streak. They're bad. We're trading.
Remember 2021 when the Cardinals went on that 17-game winning streak to finish out the season?
We stuck to our tune and said, this team sucks.
They were terrible, and
I was
then they
shocked at
won
their
17
trades.
games in a row,
True.
and they made it to the playoffs. Like, weird stuff happens. It's baseball, man. This stuff is ever-changing. There was once upon a time, the Cardinals were, I think it was in September, if I remember correctly, they were like 6 games out. They went on this crazy run. The rest of the National League collapsed, and they made it to the playoffs. They ended up going on this crazy run. Some guy named David Freese was the hero of that postseason, and they won the World Series. I'm not telling you that's happening this year, but baseball's weird, man. The Braves' worst roster of this era won the World Series. The Arizona Diamondbacks, I believe, are a significantly better team today than the one that went to the World Series for them. The Texas Rangers went all in and got 1 year. 1 year when Jacob deGrom was hurt. And now he's healthy and they stink again. So, again, baseball's just really weird. Yes, as the information changes, I promise you we will change our opinions on the team. That's kind of the way this thing goes.
You know what's not weird, though?
What's that?
Your BKO last night.
Let's take a listen.
Who's the worst hitter on their team?
I mean, Joe Adell's having a really bad
All right, I'm
season.
picking
So
him.
Joe Adell's hitting a home run tonight.
Well,
The
he's been kinda
Ferrario
good.
guarantee.
Do you want to hear the home run?
Yeah,
that was
sorry.
not the BKO for air
wasn't it,
one.
was it?
No. T-Bone clicked the wrong one.
I
Take 2.
I
T-Bone,
set
you're going to
that-
get it right this time,
T-Bone,
I
I
promise.
set
Who's
that
the
on a
worst
hitter
hitter
on their team.
I mean, Joe Adell's having a really bad
All right, I'm
season.
picking
So
him.
Joe Adell's hitting a home run tonight.
Well,
The
he's been kinda
Ferrario
good.
guarantee.
Grissom, right field. Walker's back at the wall, and that is off the wall. Peraza to third, on his way to the plate. Siri to third, and this game is tied.
This is really awkward right now, guys.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Man, I set this
Anyway,
up.
so
So I
Joe
screwed
Adell
up
hit
the
a home
first
run.
one.
So Adell hit a
He
home
screwed up the
run
second one.
when BK said
So
they're a bad offensive team, and I said on the show yesterday, who's the worst hitter on their team? And BK said Joe
Can I
Adell's
ask you
having a bad
question?
year.
Who had worse execution? Us trying to get the BKO? Don't worry about it, T-Bone. We're not doing 3 times. Or the Cardinals last night in the 9th inning? Worse execution. Us or the Cardinals?
Us. That was terrible.
I don't know, man.
I did my
O'Brien
job.
hit 2 guys.
I did my job, man. I transitioned
I
to
know.
what we needed. Both of you,
You were
just
like
screwed the
O'Brien's
pooch.
first strikeout.
Yeah, it was good.
It felt-
And then you guys just both Riley
see-
O'Brien it the rest of the way.
This loss right here.
This is
I don't-
because you took a week off. The chemistry works so well, but
That's
when
a
you
good
take
point.
weeks
You
off,
know,
man.
Look,
Me and Alex never take a week off.
By the
Not
way,
a
I'm going to
full
be off
week.
in 2 weeks. That's true. I don't take weeks off. I take days off.
Yeah. Me and Alex will take a day here, a couple of days there. T-Bone's like, hey, I'll see you
going
in
to
12
Kentucky.
days.
Yeah. You know what happens when you go to the Kentucky Lake? You lose your punch, man.
Okay, look, I admit I screwed up that first one. The second one wasn't even right either, by the way.
I know. That's what I said.
Yeah, no.
That shouldn't be blamed on
His
me.
was the multiple walks. Yours was the hit by pitch.
Joe
No,
Adell.
I think he hit the walk-off one. I hit the first batter.
That's probably true because, like, even if he would have hit the right one, you
would've
put
been
the wrong
wrong.
highlight in
Yeah.
there.
Joe Adell was hitting below 200 this month.
Yeah. You had a double whammy BKO last night because on top of that, you put Riley O'Brien, or we put Riley O'Brien.
I was about
But
to say,
you were
don't put that one on me.
you were the leader of the pack on that one.
Yeah, I did recommend him.
Yeah. You volunteered him. Somebody said it happened again. And I said the BKO is undefeated. It cannot lose.
Well, and let's, peek behind the curtain. The one text I got from BK during that game was on the first strikeout from O'Brien, and it was, quote, that was a nasty pitch, and then the wheels fell off.
And it was.
yeah, that pitch was Alex teeing up the BKO.
Yeah.
Coming up in 15 minutes, we're going to be joined by our friend, the Cardinals beat writer for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, Derrick Goold, who joins us weekly here on BK and Ferrario. Want to get his thoughts on what's gone wrong for the Cardinals over the last couple of days. And everybody wants the Cardinals to sell now, but what are they selling and what are they getting in return for those assets? We'll get into that with Derrick Goold coming up here in about 15 minutes. But coming up next, it wasn't all bad for the Cardinals last night. Is Kyle Leahy good? We'll talk about that next here on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Some news for St. Louis City SC. According to multiple reports, they have agreed to a deal to sign Danish attacker Carlo Holse from Samsunspor. He's going to have a fee of around $6 million. They have found their new attacker. He had 8 goals and 4 assists in the Turkish top flight last season, according to this report. He's 27 years old. T-Bone, you got any info?
T-Bone, you excited?
No, I got nothing. Literally nothing.
He's their designated player.
Oh, that's good. I know they wanted to be making some splashes. I saw they were tied into somebody big. I don't remember who, but clearly didn't land them.
He's from the Turkish Super League.
Wow.
This is who they were targeting.
No, I mean, look, they needed an attacker, so hopefully this works out for them. I know they wanted to make a splash. I mean, you mentioned the fee on that.
$6 million
that's pretty
is legit.
pricey.
That's real.
Yeah, that's real money to be spending. So we'll see if they get it right, because if they can get an attacker, they could get themselves back into the playoff race.
They sit in 10th place in the table right now in the West, a point back of the Galaxy for the final playoff spot.
And guess who they play Wednesday?
The Galaxy.
They play the Galaxy on Wednesday.
Who's the Galaxy's coach?
No clue.
Bad day for the Galaxy,
Isn't
right?
it the Old City coach?
No, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure he's in Philadelphia.
This is awkward for you.
That's the wrong coach.
This is really awkward for you, man.
Isn't he in Philly?
Greg Vanny.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
not
the
the
former
former
City
coach.
coach.
Classic.
That's the former City coach.
Yeah, no, that ain't him. Yeah, I'm 95% sure Bradley
is
Cornell's in
uncomfortable.
Philadelphia.
I think you're right. For some reason, I thought he was in LA
You're
with the
thinking of, I
Galaxy.
think, Klaus. Klaus plays for the Galaxy.
That's what I got mixed up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Old coach, old forward. You get it. All right. So Kyle Leahy.
Nailed it.
It wasn't
We're
all
off to a
bad.
hot start here at BK and Ferrario
We
today.
probably should reset. You want to see if Team A will come back in here and do a segment?
Yeah,
You're just going to reset the table?
As they would say, good show prep ass. Kyle Leahy was really good last night. And I got to give him full kudos because you guys know, not the biggest Kyle Leahy guy in the world.
I have heard that about you.
In the last 6 starts, he's gone a combined 31 innings and has allowed a total of 5 earned runs. In 4 of those 6 starts, 0 earned. And then last night, he gave up the 1. Just a remarkable run by him. Now, you look under the hood, it's maybe not quite as impressive as what the overall numbers show, but I don't want to diminish what he's been. He's now a 3.6 ERA on the season. If you had told me that at the beginning of the year, I would have signed up in a heartbeat for that. And lately, he's probably been your best starter. I mean, let's be real. Like, Dustin May has gone into a funk. I love Michael McGreevy. I think he's been awesome, but he hasn't been nearly as effective as what Kyle Leahy has been. Are you guys buying into this? We had a little blip with Matthew Liberatore last time that we talked about somebody in glowing terms, and then that ended up being a disaster. But that was like a 2-start stretch. This is now 6 consecutive starts, and it's a much longer stretch of the season, being a 3.5 ERA, Alex.
Look, I'm skeptical of it because of who you said, Matthew Liberatore, because I remember how excited we were with Libby. Now, he was giving up runs and the strikeouts were there. The difference is Leahy is not giving up the runs, even if the strikeouts aren't, that exciting for you. That style of pitcher just concerns me because, you just need to make sure everything goes your way for him to be posting this. But with that being said, I will give him credit for what he's going through because you've beaten up some good offenses too, like Arizona, Miami, Chicago, Atlanta. Those are all pretty significant offenses. At least most of those are top 10, top half of the league in OPS. And then combined, he's given up 1 earned run with all of them. And he's going 5 innings through basically every one of those starts with the exception of the Braves one, which was the rain delay. So I'll give him credit, and it's exciting to see. But, man, long term, I still just don't know if I have the faith of, oh, yes, that's I don't feel about Leahy the way I feel about McGreevy. To where, like I said last week, put McGreevy in pen, and that guy's in my rotation next year. I don't feel the same about Kyle Leahy.
Do you think Kyle Leahy has trade value? I'm being serious. Do you think he has trade value?
I don't think so.
I doubt it.
Because of those underlying numbers
I think in
you
the
said.
offseason, a team might have interest in him. I don't know that anybody's trading for him in
Who do you think has more value, Kyle Leahy or Andre Palante?
Leahy, because more control. But I don't think both have a lot of value right now.
I think they're more valuable in the offseason when teams are looking at, oh, my God, how do we get someone to start 160 innings that doesn't cost much? Because, no playoff teams trading for these guys right now.
Yeah, you want swing and miss stuff.
The Brewers are searching for anything right now. And I don't think they're going to go out and make a big move. That's not, generally speaking, how the Brewers operate. They've got their 1-2 in their rotation. or at least they think they do, with Kyle Harrison and Mizorowski. They're looking for a guy that can start a game 3 or a game 4.
Yeah, but I think you can go find like rentals to do that. Not because like
fair.
what Alex is saying about the control. That's how those get like a guy like Leahy and.
But wouldn't you think that the Brewers would value that?
Yeah, but they're not going to pay the price to get them because the Cardinals are going to put a steep price because of the control.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't think they're just going to take a lottery pick back in them.
I think they would. If you could trade like an Andre Palante, just to use him as the example, because there's less control, and you could put Quinn Matthews into the rotation for the remainder of the season, I think there's value in that. And if you're able to get, a solid lottery ticket in return for Andre Palante, you basically have replaced him with Quinn Matthews. You got a new asset to put into your system, and you could either flip that asset in the offseason, or it makes somebody else more expendable because you now have coverage below in your system, or you could just keep that guy here. And I do think that there may be some value in doing something like that, because right now you look at what they have in their system or what they have on their team when it comes to assets for the deadline. If they choose to sell, man, it ain't much. Like, I don't think you can trade at this point Dustin May. I think you're more likely to give him the qualifying offer or to keep him on his option, whatever it may be, as opposed to dealing him for anything of significance at this year's deadline. I think if you're trading a starter, I think you're far more likely to get a significant return for one of Leahy, Liberator, or Palante than it would be for Dustin May.
Yeah, I just don't know that those guys are going to carry as much value because we don't see many 3-4 starters get moved at the back end of the deadline unless it's like rentals. I can't think of the last controllable arm that was like a number 3 or 4 that got moved, and there was like a decent asset that was pushed to go get it, because that's where I think it would require. And the other thing I would say is, the reason I would say you wait till the offseason is because I think it creates multiple avenues of like, we can sell this guy off, or we can use him as like part of a package to go buy something, right? Like you could trade Palante in part of a package to maybe try and upgrade your major league roster.
Yeah, you could do Palante
because there's a
and
team
Newbar.
that could be looking for someone that may need that kind of an arm.
Do you think Reed Detmers is getting traded?
I don't know. I think it's more likely they trade Soriano because he's got more upside.
Okay. The reason I ask is because like Reed Detmers is basically just worse version Kyle Leahy.
Yeah, I think it's more likely Soriano's the one that Mo trades, not Detmers. I think he'll list on Detmers. He did his classic return on investment spiel yesterday on ESPN. I think he's not going to get what he wants there.
He sounds so happy, by the way.
BK misses him.
I think
I'm happy
he's
for
trading
Mo.
Soriano.
Just say you miss him, buddy.
Yeah.
I liked Mo. You guys know that. But he sounded happy. And I was happy for him.
What was that, man? Is he with the Angels now?
Literally.
With the Angels. Love you, Mo.
Him, Dexter Fowler, Mike Leake, they all go to the
Albert
Angels.
contract is still there.
Yeah.
When the Cardinals are done with a player or a person, they just send them to the Angels.
Now that's
Chris
gone.
Carpenter, you've got to go during COVID. Go to the Angels.
Well, now it's gone because Mo's there. Now it's not going to happen anymore.
You know who might trade for Kyle Leahy? John Mozeliak. You know who might trade for, I don't know, Pedro Pajes? John Mozeliak.
Mo's not answering the phone when Heim calls.
I think he is.
I don't think so.
Do you guys think he is?
No.
I bet he would. Because I think Mo would think he could. It's so funny because I think Mo thinks he could try and pull a fast one on Heim because he knows the system so well. And I think Heim would say, yeah, sure. If you like that prospect and can pass Mo by, yeah, go take that prospect.
Yeah. And Mo, we know how much he loves guys that don't strike anybody out.
Yeah, Mo's probably like willing to give up anything for McGreevy.
Imagine what he'd give up for Palante.
I don't think he
imagine.
I don't think he answers the phone. I think he's like, no, I know what you're trying to do. I was there. I saw that roster. No siree.
I wonder what he'd give up for Kyle Leahy. Leahy feels very...
Joe Adell?
Leahy's from Colorado, just like Mo.
I say we get Joe
They're
Adell,
both from Boulder, in fact.
Oh. Hey, you're
To
from
be
Boulder.
fair, I don't know that you want much from that Angel system. So
Hey, come on down. You're from Boulder. We'd love to have you.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. To put a fine point on this and what's been a really Marconi-level segment for us.
We're winning an award today, boys.
Are you guys buying into what Kyle Leahy is selling? I am not. I think it's been fun to watch. I'm happy for him, and it's been great for the Cardinals, but I still don't view him as a future solution in the rotation.
No, I'm not buying into it. And I hate saying it because give the guy credit, man. He has grinded, especially for how the start of the season has gone. I just, that style of pitcher with how baseball is, you've got to have more swing and miss stuff. And I just don't think that lasts for 162 games.
See, I still find him a little intriguing. I'm buying in a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say.
The fact that he can
the guy that you hate the most that doesn't have swing and miss stuff is who you like.
He's got okay swing and miss. It's not great, but it's okay. And he throws 6 different pitches. Like, if he can just hone those in a little bit more, why can't he be your Seth Lugo, right? Like, that's the thing to where, like, I would probably go another year with him in the rotation going into 2027, and mostly because I don't know that there's many people that would try and fight for that job against him, and just see what it looks like. And then I can come to my conclusion of, okay, was there more of a ceiling to Kyle Leahy? Was this just, hey, this is year 1. There's going to be ups and downs with this, converting from reliever to starter. Can there be more of a ceiling to him in year 2 as he's gotten more accustomed to that? I'm willing to try and ride that out with him. You know, I'd be open to trading Palante if there's value, not because I'm not buying into what Palante's doing. His stuff actually seems to hold up better under the hood. But Leahy, for me, just the 6 pitches, the way that he can throw them in any count, I find that intriguing. I think that's the more of the modern starter in baseball.
He's T-Bone. That's Alex. I'm BK. Coming up next, we're going to be joined by Derrick Goold, Cardinals beat writer for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Want to get his thoughts on the devastating losses over the past couple of days, what he thinks they can do to help out this bullpen, if anything. And is he buying into what we're seeing from Kyle Leahy? We'll talk about all of that with Derrick Goold when he joins us next here on 101 ESPN.
Alex Ferrario back with you to talk about my friends over at Classic Air Care, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electricity, the company that has been making people comfortable since 1926, a company that has been taking care of my dad's house for the last 30 years and has been doing so with mine for the last 10 years, and comes with just that comfort of knowing it's a company that, one, is going to get back to you quickly, have you scheduled with somebody within 24 hours, and that's because they've got 100 vans out on the road so they can get back to you quickly. But on top of that, you're getting really quality service with guys that have been doing this for 30 plus years. They come out, they'll give you honest answers of what's gone wrong with your system, or what needs to happen with your system, and all of that is the comfort of taking care of something that is so important as your HVAC system. But don't just believe what I say. Check out the 9,000 5-star reviews that they have talking about their customer service, like this one from Daniel. Griff was on time, checked everything, cleaned up after himself in a very professional manner, thorough, had a great personality. Only thing I needed done was to put a new humidifier in, and he did more and more than what we needed. I'll be scheduling him for my next appointment. So call him today, schedule online, just tell him Alex Ferrario sent you. Classic Air Care and classicaircare.com.
Tanner Hendrickson here with the Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Cardinals fell to the Angels last night 3-2. Game 2 of their 3-game set out in Anaheim is tonight. 8:38 will be first pitch. Matthew Liberatore will be on the mound for St. Louis. The Sports Center update was brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Alongside Alex Ferrario and Tanner Hendrickson, I'm Brandon Kiley. We'll go out to the Callier and Thompson hotline shortly to be joined by our friend, Cardinals beat writer for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, Derrick Goold, as the Cardinals are coming off of what I think is pretty inarguably, Alex, their 2 worst losses of the season. Last night, it was a 3-2 walk-off against the Angels. The night prior, it was a 7-0 lead that became an 8-7 loss against the Arizona Diamondbacks. All of this is 2 weeks prior to the trade deadline when big decisions have to be made for the St. Louis Cardinals. And, Alex, a big part of a conversation that I want to have with Derrick Goold is on the Cardinals' assets. Yep. Because for all the talk of them potentially becoming a seller, which seems to be where they're trending, your most sellable assets that we've been talking about for most of the season are Dustin May. He's been terrible for a month. Jojo Romero. He's on the IL with an appendix issue. And Ryan Stanek, who's walking the world right now, and you could throw Lars Nootbaar into that mix, I suppose.
Did you say Dustin May?
Dustin May, yeah.
Yeah.
And Lars Nootbaar, who has another year of control, and the one reason that we were really talking about him is because you also have Joshua Baez coming through your system.
Who hasn't been hitting.
Baez is hitting like 150 over the course of the last month. So that's the backdrop to our conversation. Derrick Goold joins us now via the Callier and Thompson hotline and also on the YouTube page at youtube.com/101ESPNSTL. Derrick, appreciate the time. I want to get your thoughts on what the last 36 or so hours have been like for the Cardinals as they've gone through what we believe to be probably their 2 worst losses of the season in back-to-back days. What's been your impression of what's gone wrong for them over the last couple of days?
I mean, certainly Sunday sings out as the worst, right? I mean, it's just that was a remarkably terrible, no good, very bad, awful loss. It just was – it was a game where they led and had in hand and their own play kind of gave it away. The game in Anaheim was a tough loss, bad loss the way it was so close. But I don't know if it's in the same league, if you will, as the previous one, just because of the nature of the poor play that led to it. Just as frustrating, I'm sure, for fans, and certainly just as frustrating for the team. And where does it put them? Goodness, it puts them right back where they kind of were a year ago when you think about it, right? I mean, they go into the break and they have a pretty good record and they're just on the fringe of the contention, and they're like, well, and they're kind of giving this impression of, are they better? Are they more of a contender than they let on? Is this last year was what, the reset year, and this is the rebuild year, and neither of the Rees were leading into a losing record, but then they stumble. They hit a couple thuds, and Arizona's a part of it, just like last year. And, they're on the horizon next year. After the break, they go and play Arizona too. It's a series in Arizona that was difficult last year. It's a series in Arizona this year that's difficult. And they are, gravity is taking hold of this team. And they are accelerating it with their poor play, certainly Sunday.
Well, and Derrick, it feels like, the more that they struggle, the closer they become to potentially being sellers. And we were just talking about before you hopped on, all of these assets that we thought could garner a really good return early in the season, like a Dustin May, like a Riley O'Brien. Is it starting to trend in the opposite direction of maybe there's not going to be as good of a return as you thought for these guys because they're struggling?
Yeah, I think that is more the case with Dustin May than, say, with Riley O'Brien. Riley O'Brien has so many more years of control, and, there's a real volatile nature, obviously, to his position, right? And you can fixate on last night. Last night was not great, but he hadn't allowed a run, in the 8 previous appearances. He hadn't blown a save to a loss in almost 2 months, or I guess 2 months exactly. So, he's had a longer run of success that did earn him a spot in the All-Star, despite kind of plucking or picking out, some of the more dramatic or less successful closes that he's had. There's still interest in him, especially for teams wanting to get high, buy high on a guy who has so many more years of control, so the salary won't explode like so many other relievers, right? And especially in a volatile role, having that cost certainty for a guy entering his, through his mid-30s is huge. That's just it's rare in the game, right? Usually you're overpaying for that kind of reliever right at the time when he's not performing. And Riley's in a spot where that will still command some good offers. Dustin May is a different spot. He's had a really, difficult month. He called it all number of different adjectives that I probably can't say on your show
or print.
The other day or in print. Yeah. Well, I guess it depends on where you write for. But in a morning newspaper over breakfast, I could not use some of the words that he used.
Yeah, that's how you choke on Cheerios right there.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, you take a gulp of your coffee and have a spit take. Oh my God, Goold got away with that word in the paper. Anyway, yeah, he's really struggled over the month, and that does change things quite a bit because one of the things. Well, I mean, we all know his contract was set up to be traded. Like, there's no way around this, right? And it's mutually beneficial if he does get traded because the Cardinals should get a return greater than a compensatory draft pick. And Dustin May gets to go pitch maybe into October, but then hits free agency whenever free agency is, without being attached to the draft pick, which can increase the offers for him, increase the interest for him, and he will still be one of the youngest starters available as a free agent again whenever the free agent market opens after the lockout, right? So there was a lot of advantages to both sides, but that was contingent on him pitching well to increase the interest in him and thus the offers so that it is better than a draft pick. And we'll see. There might be a team that bets on his upside, but, he's got 3 starts remaining before. Oh, well, at least 2. I should say 2. He's got 2 starts remaining before the trade deadline. So is that enough? Our team's seeing something beneath the hood that they'll look at, but this has been a difficult month for sure.
You mentioned the control over Riley O'Brien and how that increases what the asking price will be because of the term that remains on his contract. The same thing could potentially be true for some of the other starters not named Dustin May in the rotation right now if the Cardinals looked to do something like that. If they decide, you know what, hey, we want to call up Quinn Matthews. We think he's going to be a part of our rotation long term. We're not going to get any kind of real trade offers for Dustin May that will appease us. Do you think they would consider, Derrick, looking for offers on one of Kyle Leahy, Matthew Liberatore, or Andre Pallante at this year's trade deadline?
If there's one of them, and this is a big it's Pallante. I mean, they're not gonna move on from Leahy at this point unless they're overwhelmed. They're likely not going to get an offer for either Liberatore or Pallante that is more valuable to them, even in the long term, than those guys are to them right now. So, I think that when you look at what they could get, it's hard to go, okay, well, a team is going to buy high on one of those 3, right? And especially with the time put in for Leahy. I don't, and the number of years of control for Leahy, I can't think of a way that they would get an offer for any of them. And if it is, it'd be for Pallante that would match what the value is currently to the team.
Derrick, do you think there's a scenario to where the Cardinals don't do anything? They don't sell, they don't buy, they just stand pat?
No, I don't think so. I think that would be a missed opportunity. That would be the one way to really assure that you're just staying put.
We're talking to Derrick Goold, Cardinals beat writer for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, joins us weekly here on BK and Ferrario. When you think about what the next 2 weeks represent for the Cardinals, Derrick, do you think that there is a scenario where they will still make some kind of a move that upgrades the current roster? And that does not mean like they're a traditional buyer, quote unquote, right? But do you think that there is still a scenario in which something is done to improve what they have currently?
I mean, it's hard to know at this point in time because, like, what's available, right? We're starting to get into this week where it defines itself. There's going to be moves available to the Cardinals. It's just, what are they? Because if you'd asked me a week and a half ago, we all would have been talking about the Boston Red Sox, right? Mm-hmm. And now we're talking about the Boston Red Sox as a seller, or I'm sorry, as a buyer. A week from now, are the Boston Red Sox back to being a seller, or the Detroit Tigers now a buyer? I mean, it's just, it's such a difficult time right now. What the Cardinals have is they have some payroll space, and they do not want to give up any prospect capital. So it's that kind of move. So you're looking at some addition. Like, it would not surprise me at all if they traded a lefty and added a lefty, right? Like, they could trade a lefty that, Jojo Romero, right, who is going to be free agent at the end of the year. He's on the injured list, right? But teams still, it's not with an arm injury. It's not with a leg injury. Teams know that maybe in a way this could help him because he won't have the mileage on his arm here for a stretch. You're going to have time then to build him back up. And he could be a real factor in October. A lefty who's had the success he's had over the last 3-4 years, been one of the most effective lefties. You go into October where the King of the Hill has a left-handed bat, or 7, it seems like, that you're going to want a lefty to face, right? I mean, not the least of which is Ohtani. So you can see where the demand for JoJo would be. And then the Cardinals would need to supplement that with maybe the guy who is the 4th or 5th lefty available in the market, who they would then take on his contract so as not to have to give up that much capital.
On Lars Nootbaar's perspective, not so much of trading him, Derek, but the whole conversation of Nootbaar was, Joshua Baez replaces him. And since we've talked about that, Baez has gone into a massive cold spell. Is the appetite still there, from your understanding, that the Cardinals want to get Baez up here sooner rather than later? Or because of his struggles, now things have cooled down a little bit more?
I never got the sense that they wanted to get him up here sooner rather than later. At some point in time this year, he's expected to see the majors. I never got the sense that they were aching or accelerating or really looking for a move sooner. They've been very, at least internally, and I know it probably doesn't get a whole lot of decibel level externally because the highlights are fun and the speculation are fun. And we see this all the time, right? Like, that the speculation is more fun than the substance.
No.
I know it comes as quite a surprise. I mean, you can look at the interaction on Twitter. Speculation zooms, but you're right. Like, well, here's what's actually happening, and it gets about as much excitement as Sunday's win for the Cardinals or loss for the Cardinals. Just a whole it's like, oh, thanks for dumping on our fun. But anyway, I think I didn't get the sense that they were racing to do that it wasn't a sooner rather than later. It was definitely more of at some point in time, more along the lines of okay, if they make a trade and they open up the playing time, then that happens. Or like Mason Wynn, you'll recall a few years ago, where it was very clear that they were, going into kind of a rebuild, reset, whatever, and they wanted to give him that final month while maintaining his rookie eligibility. If they could do that with Baez, they would welcome that, right? Because there's a lot of benefit to him not coming up in August and expending his rookie eligibility, still having that if they think he's going to be an everyday player, especially with that kind of power.
All right, Derek, on the pitching side of things, plans moving forward. You reported the other day that the Cardinals are looking at a potential 6-man rotation, inserting that 6th spot at some point during this 20 games and 20-day stretch. What can you tell us about what you believe the Cardinals will do for that? Could that be a Quinn Matthews spot? How are you viewing what they're looking at for that 6th spot of the rotation?
Yeah, it's all of those things, right? Bryson Motts, Hunter Dobbins, how do they line up with when they want to give the day to that starter? They're going to do something. This is 20 games in 20 days, and Marmol mentioned that they're looking at a lot. They wanted to kind of have a discussion to finalize that Sunday. It was not. I would look for them. I'm not with the team. I don't know if you noticed or not, but I'm not with the team in Anaheim, just to be honest, for the YouTube listeners and for the to reveal the secret to the radio folks that I'm here in my office. But yeah, I would imagine something will come from my colleague Daniel Guerrero on that here during this series. And yeah, it's all things on the. I mean, Quinn Matthews has their attention. He's pitched very well. As much as Dustin May has struggled over the last month, Quinn Matthews has pitched quite well over the past month at AAA. There's a lot of intrigue, a lot of excitement about him as he's kind of restored that. And then I think we've talked about, it was so important for him to crank out the consistency, start to start, inning to inning. And he's really doing that. It's been strong. Bryson Motts was held aside before. Hunter Dobbins has already made a cameo appearance. So you're looking at those three. Quinn just adds the wrinkle of having to be added to the 40-man.
I want to ask you a follow-up on Bryson Motts, because I find the handling of him over the last few weeks to be interesting. I've talked to some people within the Cardinals organization. I understand what they were trying to accomplish here, but the byproduct is over the last 3 weeks, he's thrown a total of 7 innings at the AAA level. Some of that is ineffectiveness. Some of that is by design. Have you talked with anybody about why they had him throw in relief the other day, Derrick?
Yeah, so it came up, they are scrambling in some ways to get him just basically touch and feel, right? Like he had that, I think it was a 7-day stretch. Maybe it was 6, but it was around 7 or 8 days.
It was 7, yeah.
Or 6, 7-day stretch where he was held back because of Dustin May's injury and to be available to start if needed. He wasn't. That threw him off, no pun intended. And then you had a break come, right? The All-Star break come. And so it was like this confluence of factors that disrupted his schedule. At the same time, they had Jerangelo St. coming up to them, to AAA to make his debut. They wanted to keep Quinn Matthews on turn. They had a lot of things going on, but they needed him to get competitive touches. It's the same kind of thing. I mean, we haven't talked about it, but Brandon Clark, right? I wouldn't read into when he's used at low A for what his role is going to be, because the big thing for them is to get him in competition, to get him innings, to get him build up. Bryson Motts, the big thing was to just get him those innings so that he could have some kind of touch and not go so long gathering dust in case he was needed for any role with the Cardinals. There was a possibility that he would be up as a reliever. There is a possibility he could start. They really want to see what his ceiling is as a starter, which is why he's not been in the majors all year as a lefty reliever, or at least, hasn't been, for the last few months. You think back, they've been looking for another lefty reliever. They had one in Motts, but they've so prioritized him as a starter. They were going to get to a point where the roster wasn't going to give him that choice. And so they wanted to have him not go forever without touching the mound and facing hitters.
This is one of the only places all year that I think it's fair to criticize some of what they've done with Bryson Motts over the last month, Derrick.
It's not only fair, it's legitimate. They've had some disruption to his schedule after telling us for months that they were going to make decisions to avoid disruption to his schedule. Yeah, it's a contrast for sure.
And they chose to get him a touch at AAA in those 2 innings, and then after that, he had a bad start the next one. That's on him, right? That's just ineffectiveness. That happens. Mm-hmm. But then coming out of the break, he goes in relief and pitches in the 7th and the 8th inning. And I understand, maybe you're prioritizing Jerangelo St., but if he's that far in the pecking order now at AAA, well, then just let's acknowledge the obvious here. He's probably not going to be a long-term starter for you here at the major league level. And if he is, it's probably going to be in the Kyle Leahy or Matthew Liberatore mold. So you might as well get him these innings to see how these major leaguers are reacting to his stuff here, instead of doing whatever it is that they're doing right now with Scott Blewett, who's not pitching at the major league level right now. So I don't understand their handling of Bryson Motts. They've tried to explain it to me, and I know there is thought that's being put into it. I just, from a baseball perspective, I kind of disagree with it personally.
No, I think you can make your argument, and all fine points. Yeah, you might be in the right. There's nothing I can say to you that
sorry, Derrick.
Rejects.
He took your anger out on you, Derrick. He does it to me all the time.
I'm like, man, I'm innocent, Judge. I didn't do it.
You feel the light blasting on you right now.
It's the messenger thing. I apologize.
It's fine. The one thing that you said in there that I would caution against making the leap to is that the depth chart changed at AAA. I asked about that, and I tried to understand, okay, well, now have these other lefties or these other starters leapfrogged ahead of him? And the answer wasn't like, it wasn't no, but the schedule coming out was clearly a factor in this, right? And the timing of the promotion of Senja, when the schedule resumed, trying to get those guys up onto the 6-day schedule for AAA, because they have the Mondays usually off, right? That was leading to some kind of rewrite of the group, rewrite of the calendar, not rewrite of the depth chart.
I get it, but if they prioritized him over the other guys, he would have gotten that start. Right?
Maybe
their
not,
actions
though.
are telling you over their words where he is in that pecking order, right?
Yeah. I mean, that might be where you and I part, because I'm not going to read into their actions on one day when they're trying to keep a young pitcher like Senja and introduce him to a new level. I think that's a different element to it. And coming out of the break adds another element to it. And then having Quinn Matthews ready possibly to start in the majors is another element. That's some great revelation on what they think of Bryson Mott's, other than they needed to get him work. I don't think there's some greater truth there. Now there might be 8 days from now, there might be 14 days from now, but one moment in time where it's trapped on a weekend and they're just trying to sort through. I have real hesitance of saying, okay, this is some damning indictment of what they think of him.
That's fair. And I'm not saying the guy sucks. I just, seven innings in 3 weeks.
No, that's a real problem.
It's
I agree
weird.
with you. It is really weird. It's odd, and it was clear that it was a decision made for the major league level to have somebody available because of injury, and yet that runs counter to how they said they wouldn't be urgent with him for a need at the major league level. I mean, it's just there's a lot of conflicting goals there, and it's really tempting to start then pulling in all these other threads that are just they're happening. They're not related. They're happening simultaneously.
All right, Derrick.
Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get you out of here on this. You had one other report that I wanted to get to from earlier today on the Cardinals draft picks. And you reported that Rocco, their shortstop that they selected in, was that the second, third round?
Second round.
He signed for overslot by a pretty significant amount. What can you tell us about what that represents? Because baseball's draft is so much different than every other league in the way that it's structured and the way that this money works. For our audience that may not be familiar with this because of the number of picks they had this year and the amount of bonus money they had, what did this represent and how they feel about Rocco, the baseball player?
Well, they gave him a bonus equivalent of a top 30 pick-ish. I know you looked that up specifically for where the slot was. This is a guy who reclassified, Rocco Maniscalco, who reclassified and is the youngest draft pick ever for the Cardinals. And at 17 years, 2 months, there's a really good bet that he's the youngest player drafted ever in the Major League Baseball draft. He would just edge a few others. Research is ongoing, as they say. It's hard to figure some of this draft stuff out. But anyway, and also they went forever for rounds years ago, so it's hard to know. But he's the youngest ever for the Cardinals. He had a commitment to Mississippi State. You had to pry him out of that. He reclassified, so clearly he had an interest in going pro. But by reclassifying, he was available for the draft a year early. And if he hadn't, there's a likelihood that, a good spring next year, and you're talking about him being one of the best prep players in the country. All of those things go into what the Cardinals then had to offer him, both where they think he might go next year, both the money that he has coming from Mississippi State and what they've offered him and the chance to go play where his father played infield. All of that he had a lot of leverage because he could also go to a junior college. I mean, we saw this with the Bryce Harper route, right? He has a lot of different options there that the Cardinals had to woo him away from. And if they see him as a potential top 30 pick for next year, then he got the bonus to reflect that.
That's awesome. Well, it'll be fun to see him rise through the ranks.
Switch hitter. Yeah, he hasn't yet grown. He's got strength to get to switch hitter, plays the middle infield. I mean, you're looking at a guy. Yeah, cannon of an arm. If he grows into hitting for more kind of damage, you're talking about a third baseman with a lot of upside.
Well, that's something they could use in their system, right?
That would be nice to have.
Turns out it's a position of need.
Yeah, what a day for the signings, though. It's interesting because they signed one of the youngest guy ever, so you got to have a lot of patience. And then they signed this guy that Baseball America says has the unicorn fastball who could be in the majors in September. So same guy, two players, same agent, I believe, but way different spots in their development depending on how the way the Cardinals go.
Derrick, it's always a pleasure to be able to catch up with you on our Tuesday conversations. Apologies for shooting the messenger there. We'll talk with you again next week.
It's all right, man. It's going to be that kind of week, isn't it?
Yep.
That kind of month.
I was going to say the next 3 weeks are going to be that way, Derrick, all the way through the trade deadline.
Yeah, it's going to be that kind of off season. It's going to be this. I just think of this then as my spring training. So thank you very much.
You bet. That's what we're here for. Appreciate the time as always. That's Derrick Goold joining us here on 101 ESPN. Find his fantastic work, all of his great reporting over in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch and also at stltoday.com. I apologize that the Mott's thing is something that just grinds my gears.
Oh, I know, but this is going to last for a while with you, isn't it?
I don't think so, because I think we're going to get a resolution. I think he's going to be in the bullpen.
When the next time we see him, though, and he's got really good stuff, then BK's going to be like, see, they screwed this up.
No, it's not that so much as like, it's about, man, so much of this season is about messaging, right? And about doing things that just make sense. And there have been, like, the reason that I'm critical here is because I think so much of what they have done has made sense. It's been smart, it's well thought out, and like even this one, I think they have thought it out. I believe they have because I've talked to people inside of the organization and they've explained it to me. I just disagree with the conclusion. Like, I think they came to that they had the same thought process on, okay, here's the situation, here's where we're at, here's what we need, and then came to their conclusion and my conclusion on those same set of facts was different. And so, like, and that doesn't mean they're right, I'm right, I don't know. But now that he was in the bullpen the last outing, that to me had meaning. And that, to me, represents something bigger. Like, you look at where they're at AAA right now. There are decisions that are looming with their rotation. Hunter Dobbins is there. You've got Jurangelo St. Quinn Matthews. Ishan Henderson's working his way through the minor league system. You've got Mason Molina up there. Like, they have a pretty stacked AAA rotation right now. There is a lack of opportunity there. And so eventually somebody gets pushed out. Liam Doyle is not too far away from potentially getting that call up to the AAA level. You look at Cooper Jerpy. He's now back at AA. What's his future going to hold? Well, I'm betting you he's probably going to be at AAA sooner rather than later. Man, I've named 7 different guys, and I think every single one of them, and I have not named, by the way, TK Roby, who will be back next season. He's going to jump him on the pecking order. Like, they're just Richard Fitz, another guy who will jump him on the pecking order most likely. I think these guys all are held in higher regard as starting pitchers than Bryson Mott's for good reason. Look at the walk numbers for Bryson Mott's this season. And I think his future is going to be in the bullpen. He's also 25 years old. There's nothing wrong with that. It's okay to have a really nice option as a lefty out of the pen. But I think they're kidding themselves right now when they suggest that that's not what he's going to be. And I mentioned earlier, you don't have options, alternatives that can help you in the bullpen. This might be a guy that could help you there. I don't think he's a solution. I don't think he changes everything. But it'd be nice right now to have some extra innings with potential strikeout stuff coming from the left side. And I think he could represent that. And they're choosing not to utilize it. And that to me is a little strange. That's where I'm coming from on the Bryson Mott situation. Do you guys think that that's like crazy, wrong, misguided?
I don't. I mean, I understand what you're saying because I look at what you just said about their depth down to the AAA level. I mean, they're running out of starts, right? I mean, you can only go with 6 starters down there at AAA. And honestly, I think they would prefer to be at about 5 so they can keep more of those advanced guys, quote unquote, and Dobbins more on like a major league schedule where you start every 5th day compared to 6 down if you go with a 6-man. All right, well, you just mentioned their names and guys that are coming, and there's clearly a spot that's open in the bullpen for a left-handed arm, right? And that doesn't mean you guarantee him he's not a starter when he gets to the big league level at any point in his career. Look at Matthew Liberatore, for an example, right? This is a guy that went from starter to bullpen back to starter. Look at Kiley, who was a starter at the AA level. They said the best way to get him to the majors is in the bullpen, so they made him a bullpen arm at AAA. Then he comes up to the majors, is a bullpen arm, and what do you know? He's in the rotation again. So it doesn't mean the death of him being a starter. So I'm with you. Now, I'll be curious to see if he gets a start here over the next couple of days. If he doesn't, then that's when you can definitely read into the conclusion of they're just lying through their words, and the actions are what really matter.
He's T-Bone. That's Alex. I'm BK. If you guys missed any of our conversation with Derrick Goold, it is always a pleasure to be able to catch up with him. I think he's one of the best in the business. He has fantastic information when it comes to the St. Louis Cardinals. You can do that on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com, and the free 101 ESPN app is where you go to find it. It's all sponsored by
Shea Fedora Company.
Coming up next, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers here on BK and Ferrario. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK, 314-399-9646. So that is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. We'll get to our conversation with Jeremy Rutherford coming up here in about 10 minutes. From Cotterville Comb-Over, guys, in your opinion, how do the Cardinals, quote-unquote, win the trade deadline? I believe it's by making trades targeted to helping next year, basically getting a jump on the winter. Get as much as you can for your assets that are going into a walk year and see what's out there to potentially buy for next year. I think that's fair.
Yeah, that would be it. Like, I think that's the only way you win the offseason is you move the assets that you have and get the best return you possibly can. And then hopefully something in the offseason maybe becomes available that can expedite things if you move a lot of the prospects to get something better for the now, or you just continue the development process.
Yeah, their winning of the deadline, quote unquote, won't be anything sexy because it's going to be moving in kind of the marginal moves that, like BK was saying, moving a couple bullpen arms or guys that don't have any control, and then maybe you can go out there and see if you can find something for 2027 and beyond.
From the 314, would you be more excited if St. Louis were to get an NBA or an NFL team?
I mean,
NFL for me.
Yeah, and mine would be NFL.
Yeah,
I'm just not the biggest NBA fan. I'd like NBA. It'd be fun to go to, but I would be more into the NFL team.
I love the NFL. I really like the NBA. The NFL is a full year-round sport. The NBA is not to the same degree. And the other thing that's fun about covering an NFL team, every week feels big. When you get into the week, there's like a certain tempo to it, where the Mondays after you react to the game, the Tuesdays after you have kind of more big picture thoughts on the game, Wednesdays are kind of looking bigger picture at the league, and then Thursday you can start diving into the following week's matchup, why it matters, what are the individual things about this game that make it unique, and then Friday you really dive into the specific matchups of said game. So there's something about covering the NFL on a week-to-week basis during the season that's really fun. Then you get the NFL draft that's attached to it, the NFL free agency period, trades, all of that. It's just so much content for this that, yeah, that would be easily number one on my list.
Yeah. Plus, I miss having an NFL team to root for.
No doubt.
Like, I like just watching the NFL and fantasy football. I root for the players. I miss having a team to root for in the NFL.
Yeah, I would say NFL as well. NBA just does nothing for me.
From Dirk Diggler's unit, guys, how long before Soriano is the closer? If they were going to do that, I think they would have done it by now. Yeah. So I don't think it's happening this season.
And I don't think you're going to trade Riley O'Brien because I don't think the return's going to be what they deem reasonable. So I think Riley O'Brien's your guy.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'd agree with that as well.
From Car Wash Dave, guys, what are the Blues' plans for a backup goalie next year if Bennington is gone?
Romanoff. I think they would look at this as Romanoff was the guy that took the net last year. If he has a full season as our number one this year, you look at him potentially being the backup to Hofer next year and maybe bringing in some type of veteran presence because in the minor leagues, you're probably going to move on to that Louv Harrenston that they drafted or that kid that they got from Detroit in the trade. That'll be the next wave of guys in the Thunderbird. So Romanoff would be the guy that, and if he falters, well, then you're talking about a free agent.
From the 618, guys, any interest in trading for C.J. Abrams and placing him at third for the Cardinals? Then you could have Walker and Abrams long-term in your lineup.
Not for the price it'll be to trade for him.
Yeah. I'd say I like Abrams. I would not trade for him for the price that it's going to cost.
He's got 2 years left of club control, $4 million this year. He's going to be super expensive, and man, 25 years old, legit shortstop, shows power and speed. Good luck.
Yeah.
You know who he reminds me of, and I don't know if this is a good comp or not, is a little Jazz Chisholm. To where, like, I think he's a good player. I don't know he's a great player, and he's going to be valued as a great player.
He's having a great year.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is real, though.
That's how I felt about Jazz for a while, and he's been a good player most of his career.
Has Jazz ever had a year, though, like this?
He was really good last year. Last year, wasn't he like 30-30?
I thought he was really good in Miami, too, wasn't he?
He was kind of overrated in Miami.
That first year in Miami.
And the reason I say that about Miami is because he ended up being the face of the franchise.
He had one great season in Miami, but it was 60 games.
Yeah.
Last season with the Yankees, he was very good. 30 homers, 30 stolen bases. Yeah. So that is a legit, really great season, and that's kind of what we're seeing right now. But Jazz, look at what he's done this year. He's back to what he was.
Yeah.
So the question is, are you believing that this is now C.J. Abrams? He's made it into his prime. This is what he's going to be. If you do, I can understand why somebody would give up a king's ransom for him. If you don't, though, it's going to be a significant overpay.
What's saying he wants to be a third baseman too? Like, I know you're the team and you tell him where he's going to play, but I would imagine you're not happy about that. And if he's a shortstop, the shortstop's where you're getting paid.
He's Alex. That's T-Bone on BK. Jeremy Rutherford joins us next. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Happy to go out to the Kiley and Thompson hotline to be joined by our friend Blues Insider for The Athletic. He's Jeremy Rutherford joining us live from beautiful Fort Wayne, Indiana today. JR, what's good, man? How you doing?
Not too much, yeah. I was just telling T-Bone that the hotel overlooks the Tin Caps Stadium, so maybe some textures out there can tell me what level that is, what minor league ball that is.
Tell them, T-Bone.
I got your answer for you, JR. That is the high A affiliate of the San Diego Padres.
I would have
there you
expected that to be the case.
San Diego
not
and
that
Indiana,
far.
very close to each other. The travel's not too bad.
Are you in the Eastern or Central time zone?
Yeah.
JR?
Yeah, I'm an hour ahead, so Eastern.
Okay, cool. So if you take a 20-minute drive to your left, you'll be in the Central time zone. Maybe take a trip to Santa Claus, Indiana, JR.
Alex had a bit of an issue with the time zone changes that apparently exist within the state of Indiana
Like
lately.
Indiana is the biggest joke of time zones there is, and like I drove 20 minutes to the east or to the west, and I went forward an hour. It made no sense.
I saw your pictures. That's a good spot, though. We took the kids there way back when. Any good times, I suppose?
Oh, great times. I don't want to waste your time with it or the listeners' time, but it was very hot and very crowded. But the girls loved it.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird eating turkey and stuffing in July, right?
Yeah, no, I stayed away from that. When it's 110 degrees outside, I kind of stayed. Honestly, chicken tenders didn't feel that good at 110 degrees, so I just drank a lot of water.
All right, JR, there is some actual Blues news today. They announced that they've got some kind of a new TV deal now. Details sparse.
What news?
We know that the NHL is going to be producing it. We do not know which channels it's going to be on. Curbs confirmed to us last week that it will be him and Joey on the simulcast once again. What other details can you give to the listeners right now on what was announced earlier today by both the league and the Blues?
Well, first of all, I'm thankful for any small amount of news on this storyline because this has been something that's been months in the making. And as I wrote today at The Athletic, that's the number one question. I mean, forget about who they brought in, forget about trades, forget about anything. What's going on with the TV? That was the number one question. And finally, we got some news on that today, albeit preliminary. Yeah, they're going to join forces with the league. And right now it's 4 teams. I think it's going to grow to 6. And so that's going to be a centralized broadcast in terms of the league helping the Blues, and the Blues are going to be able to bring, as Steve Chapman said, their creative juices to the broadcast and kind of put more of their touch on it. So we'll see where that goes. But like you said, a lot of people are going to be looking for details in terms of, what's going to be the platform that they can get their Blues games, and all of those answers are still yet to come. So I think that with all the uncertainty that we've had in this industry for quite a few years now, the fact that, there's going to be a broadcast, exactly who's bringing it to you. You just don't know where yet. And I think that's still going to take some time before they finalize these agreements.
That, just like the ins and outs of it, which I know they didn't provide a whole lot of details, but that seems like what their goal was all along, right, JR? When they found out that FanDuel was going to be leaving, is getting their people that are in charge running the Blues broadcasts.
Yeah, and I think that, Blues fans will look forward to that, Chris and Joey bringing you the games. But more importantly, I think in terms of how you're going to consume the broadcast is the Blues have waited and done their homework. And as Steve Chapman told me yesterday, they have learned from other teams, and they're kind of in this together. They compete on the ice, but off the ice, they trade notes. And the Blues have done their homework. And, how can we bring it to as many people as possible? And now what they've announced today, you're going to be able to get it on your satellite. You're going to get it on your cable. You're going to be able to pay for your subscription if that's what you want. And you're going to get it over the air. Granted, the over-the-air games aren't going to be that many. It's not like you get 70 games over the air, but you're going to be able to get it 4 different ways. And, they're going to have it on the apps. And they said they're going to work on these apps and make sure that, they don't have the bug issues that they've had in the past with some of these providers and their apps. So, at this point, with as much turmoil as we've had in the past couple of years with how to navigate this, I think we're going to finally get to a solution. The biggest thing, and, we'll talk about this for the next couple of years, is the sustainability, because the Blues are going to have to, promos, and these are going to be new avenues of revenue for them. The dollars aren't going to measure up to what they used to get from Main Street Sports, which was FanDuel. But at some point, if they can continue to build this, they hope to get there.
Jeremy Rutherford is our guest here on 101 ESPN. All right, JR. Hey, Alex, before I move on, do you have anything else on the TV side of things?
No.
JR, is there anything else on the TV side of things that you feel like we didn't ask that we need to ask? Because I know this is a big topic of conversation among Blues fans.
Yeah, you're going to be able to watch it on channel 247, and it's going to be 99. No.
Oh, wait, no, I forgot. I forgot what I was going to ask. How much more excited are you to just listen to the pre- and post games on 101 ESPN, JR, than wherever the television broadcast is going to be?
Alex, I got you on the headphones before the game and listen to you and tell you how great you are when you come sit next to me in the press box during the game. So don't worry, I'll still be
I haven't heard it
you.
for about 2 months, though, so it'd be nice to hear right now, JR.
All right, JR. On a different note, you had a mailbag the other day that led to us having quite a conversation about expectations for McTavish and McMichael. And you mentioned, hey, if either of them gets to 50 points, you're probably feeling pretty good. That seems like a reasonable, hopeful spot, but I don't know that you can expect for both of them to get there. I had a bit of a meltdown on air about how that would be problematic for the team's overall chances to contend next year. And then I looked into it a little bit more, and JR, turns out there aren't a whole lot of second-line centers that are producing 50 points in the NHL nowadays. What do you think that means for the second line if those guys are in that kind of 40 to 50-point range?
Well, and keep in mind, when I was asked that question and I answered it, I'm focused on next season. And I think if these two players can get off to a good start, and for McTavish, look, he's played a lot of wing in Anaheim, and the Blues, who have a number 2 capable center in the future, Dalibor Dvorsky, it looks like they're going to bump him down to the third line and give McTavish this role. So if he's producing 50-plus points, and I did mention in the story, too, that if he's playing with McMichael and McTavish is putting up points, that probably means that McMichael is, too. So, 50 is you look around the teams around the league. I think, Alex, didn't we look up in the press box one time, like Dallas was the only team that had 3 centers that were 50-plus points. Yeah. So, there's not a ton of teams out there like that. And you hope for more down the road from these guys. But I think focusing on next season, like I said, if you can be in that ballpark, I had McTavish for that many, but not McMichael next year. I think that would be a good start for the Blues and these two players.
I looked it up yesterday. Some contenders, second-line centers. Sabres had 54 points from their second-line center. Lightning had 52. Canadians had 24. Flyers had 36. Stars had 51. Wild had 51. And then Vegas had 58. So, yeah, they're all kind of in that range that we're talking about there.
Yep.
Yeah, and what you notice from those is all great teams, right? The Blues are going to have to get to that point. And there was another question in the mailbag that said major strength and what's the weakness? And the weakness, I say it's still secondary scoring because we don't know what you're going to get from those guys, and we still don't know who's going to be on the third line outside of, maybe like a Jake Neighbors and a Dvorsky, but who's going to be the winger on that side? Like the Blues this year, if they're going to battle for a wild card spot, there has to be that secondary scoring that was missing last year.
So with McTavish and McMichael, the first thing we heard about both of those guys when the Blues acquired them was, they're not the greatest defensively, and they're coming to a team that has a defensive-minded coach. For all of the expectations and trying to get to 50 points and comparing it to Kyrou, what's more important for those guys this season, JR, the offensive side or the defensive side?
Well, yeah, it's always a tough question because you want a little bit of both. You don't want a major glaring hole in one area, especially when you got 2 new players coming. And, somebody had mentioned that I said that McMichael has to replace Kyrou. Like, I don't think that's the case straight up. Like, yes, the production of some of these guys has to, at least get to the point where you're producing and making up for some of the goals that you're going to lose with a Jordan Kyrou. But my point is that you're going to want these guys to play the team game. You're going to want them to be proficient in the defensive zone and help out, and that's not been a great area for McTavish, so he's going to have to make some strides in that area. But the points have to come. Like, if you have a 2026-27 season and McTavish is, 41 points and, didn't take another step into that second-line center role that you had hoped, he's going to be back on the wing, and Dvorsky's going to be up at second-line center, and that's just the way it's going to look. So, I think you're going to want a little bit of both, but, if Jim Montgomery's listening to this call, he's probably hoping for, some defense that he can count on from those two guys.
All right, JR, enjoy yourself out there in Fort Wayne, Indiana. We'll talk with you again next week, man.
Yep, sounds good, guys. Thanks a lot.
That's Jeremy Rutherford joining us as he does each and every Tuesday here on BK and Ferrario. There we go. We've got some answers on the Blues
gonna
TV
be
situation. You will be able to watch them. That is effectively the answer that we got
Cable,
today.
satellite, and probably an app. So you will be able to watch them.
My guess is I will be paying $20 a month to watch the
And
Blues.
Curbs and Joey are going to be a part of it. I don't know what else questions you really have with this one. You will be able to watch it. You're probably going to pay for it. And Curbs and Joey are on the broadcast.
I wish we had more answers. I would love to give you guys more answers. I would love to know what I'm going to be paying and where I can watch them. We just don't have it. And frankly, I think the Blues would like to give you more answers, but they don't have them yet
The
either.
NHL is in charge of it now. And like the one thing I will say for the people that are wondering, like, look at what the Cardinal season has been with the broadcast because Major League Baseball controls it. I would imagine it's going to be somewhat similar to what you're living with the Cardinals, to where you're going to pay a subscription. It'll be available on the satellite. It'll be available on cable, but you're going to have to do the same way you're doing it with the Cardinals. And the broadcast, I will say this, like Trevor Nickerson, who is in charge of Blue Note production, he's incredible in what he does. You already know the staff that's been a part of it. They've highlighted them enough. Like, they've got a really good staff that does the Blues broadcast, and now that they get full control of this without FanDuel talking to them, I'll be fascinated to see, because I think we all can agree the Cardinals broadcasts have been really fun this season. Like the pregame, Danny Waxelman has done a really good job.
She's been awesome.
The production side of it, like where they have John Jay doing the walkthrough with her, the interviews that they have, like that's the Cardinals in charge of it. So now that the Blues have that, that's the part that I think you are going to see an upgrade, because the Blues have that opportunity to take control of the entire broadcast.
He's Alex. That's T-Bone. I'm BK. If you guys missed any of our conversation with JR, be sure to check it out on the podcast page after the show today. Just saw a tweet from Bernie Miklasz that is interesting to me. Since July 5th, the Cardinals offense is last in Major League Baseball in average, on-base, slug, and wins above replacement. What's gone wrong for this offense? I've got some numbers behind it. We'll talk about that and a possible creative deal. And I wonder if I can convince you on next year on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here with the Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Cardinals fell to the Angels yesterday 3-2. Game 2 of their 3-game set out in Anaheim is tonight. 8:38 will be first pitch. Matthew Liberatore will be on the mound for St. Louis. The Sports Center update was brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
All right, the Cardinals' offense has gone quite cold. I feel like this story has gone a little under the radar, Alex, because the pitching has been the thing we focused so much about. For good reason. I mean, the last couple of nights been bad. But
yeah, you mean you didn't win a 2-1 game against the Angels and we're upset with the pitching?
Yesterday we scored the Cardinals
You're
scored
part of it,
2
man.
runs. Man, I don't think I've ever done that on the radio talking about the Cardinals.
You're
but here
part
we
of it
are.
now. Welcome to it.
I said when I first started and BK went in commercial, hey, we don't say we.
Yeah.
Bad, Brandon.
That's never been an issue for me because it's not my team, but here we are. Okay, so the Cardinals scored 2 runs last night. They lost. Guess what? You scored 2 runs. That happens all the time. I thought Sundays was really a tough one. You scored 7. You got to win that one.
Well,
that's on the pitching.
Yeah.
But also, you scored those runs primarily very early, and then the offense just completely shut down the rest of the game. Alex, in the month of July, which is a weird standard because you've only played like 17 games this month due to the All-Star break. In the month of July, you're bottom 5 in every statistical category offensively. I looked into, okay, what's gone wrong? Why is the offense so bad? It's pretty clear what's happened. Burleson is just not slugging this month. He's still hitting for average, but he's not hitting for much power at all. Mason Wynn has kind of gone back to the slump that he had early in the season, not hitting for average, not hitting for power either. Nathan Church has been abysmal. Oh, my God, the guy. I think he just went through an 0 for 30.
Yep.
He just broke that the other day.
Woof.
He's batting 132 for the month. Lars Nootbaar, by the way, quietly, he's got one of those Ivan Herrera slumps going. He's batting 178, but he's still getting on base at a good clip, just no power. So you're not getting much from the secondary options in your lineup. Also, Ivan Herrera has been awful this month. Terrible. Not hitting for average, not getting on base, not slugging at all. And when you have that as one of your 3 big bats, if we're being real, the 3 best bats for most of the season have been some combination of Walker, Herrera, Burleson, and Weatherholt can be thrown into the conversation as well. Mm-hmm. When one of those guys goes completely cold, the way that Herrera has for about 3 weeks now, this is what it's going to look like. Especially when your secondary options in the bottom half of the order have also gone cold at the same time. So you can point to that. Herrera's cold streak has had a huge impact on the Cardinals lineup.
Yeah, and I mean, like, this is what we talked about early in the season when Jordan Walker was doing everything. As great as Jordan Walker was, you looked at what was around him. And, like, when Jordan Walker, who has still been a guy that's hitting, showcasing his power, but it doesn't matter if you're not getting guys on base. And that's where you're just at right now. You've got one MVP candidate. You've got J.J. Weatherholt, but you need those complementary pieces to come through. And now, from the flip side of what we were talking about, when Walker goes cold, your offense is gone. When these complementary pieces are gone, now you have to rely on Walker and your pitching staff. And that's just the incomplete team that you have right now. And it's, once again, the realization of this is why you went into that rebuild, because there's more developing that needs to take place. But I think there's 4 guys you rely on. You rely on Herrera, Burleson, Walker specifically, and Weatherholt. And if 2 of those 4 don't show up, you're in trouble.
The irony, Alex, what's your favorite stat to look at?
Hitters in position, runners in scoring position.
Yep.
RISPECT. What's it mean, T-Bone?
Guess what the Cardinals are hitting with runners in scoring position this month?
Less than 200.
330.
Oh, Jesus.
They're second in Major
Why
League
you sit
Baseball
down then?
I don't know.
in offensive contributions with runners in scoring position this month. They've been amazing.
Maybe this is the problem is they're not getting guys there.
The problem is they're not getting anybody on.
Yeah.
They're not getting them on, and then they're not getting them over, and then they do get them in, but it's just not happening enough. So that's their big issue right now is they're not hitting to get on. Mm-hmm. Once they do, they're coming up in these clutch moments. They're just not. They don't have enough runners on.
And that's the thing that I think has been positive about this season. Like, you do have guys that can come through in the clutch. Weatherholt, Walker, Burleson's done it a lot this season. You've had complementary players. But, yeah, it's the flip of what I used to complain about. Now the problem isn't hitting there. It's the guys getting there.
Yeah, it's
and
my thing that I always focus on.
And it's the exception of Weatherholt and Burleson. You got nobody else who could get on. And when they do get on, those are the guys that do struggle.
So here's the question. Because Herrera, we mentioned it. That's really the one you can circle. Weatherholt's been good, maybe not outstanding, but good. Burleson's been good. Walker has been otherworldly. He's amazing. But Herrera is the real key bat that has gone cold here. What would you guys do? What's your plan?
I'd give him a day off.
So yeah, I'd start with an off day today.
I'd tell him to take a little rest.
I kind of laugh and say, we're laughing when we say that. I don't understand why that hasn't happened yet.
That would be the first thing I would be looking at, being like, get this guy a day off.
Well, yesterday it was because he had 3 hits the day prior.
That one I got. And then he had the golden sombrero yesterday, which is 4 strikeouts in a game.
My guess is he gets the day off today.
I don't think he will.
I'm not as confident in that.
Here's my rationale. You're facing a lefty tomorrow. My guess is they're going to want him in the lineup against said lefty. Today, you're going up against a right-handed pitcher, so it's easier to get just a bunch of left-handed bats into the lineup today and make it work that way. You probably put either Paez or Crooks. My guess is you put Paez behind the plate, put Crooks into the DH spot today probably, and then you make it work that way.
Again, I'm not as confident. I think they view this as we need him to help us, and our offense scored 1 run yesterday. We need offense.
My guess is he gets the day off today. T-Bone, what's your prediction?
He's in the lineup.
You think he's in the lineup? Do you think he gets the day off tomorrow? McGreevy on the mound. Going up against the lefty.
And that's the one where it's a weird start time.
It's a 3 o'clock start.
That's
you
the one I
come
think.
back and you have a 4:15 start on Thursday. Brandon Pfaadt on the mound, another righty.
I think he's in the lineup.
Do you think he's in the lineup for Thursday against Brandon Pfaadt?
Thursday would be the one where I could maybe
Back-to-back
see it.
day-ish games.
Yeah, I can maybe see it, but I think they're going to keep riding them out here. Until I see them actually pull them out of the lineup, I don't know that.
They've done it all the way up to this point. Why all of
Yeah.
a sudden are we going to act as if they got to get him the day off?
And to be clear, I'm not blaming Ollie Marmol on that, because I think some of this could be Herrera saying, I don't need a day off. I need at-bats to try and work through this. And this is where it's just that fine balance of, all right, do we give him the at-bats that he needs to get out of this, or do we need to go take a day behind the cage?
And he must trust Herrera, because he trusts his guys all the time.
Yeah, and I think this is, and I don't know if it's Herrera, Marmol, whoever it is that's driving this, it's a combined effort to get to the conclusion of, okay, he belongs in the lineup. Now it's just a matter of Herrera's going to have to figure it out. Otherwise, you're just going to continue to see the offense look like it has over the last month.
So, I don't think this is going to happen. Let's start there.
Well, that's a good starting point for this segment to make me buy
Derek
in.
said earlier today, speculation is what sells. Let's speculate a little bit.
Yeah, hell
There's
yeah.
one thing BK Ferrario do well. It's we speculate.
Ken Rosenthal had a piece earlier today. 3 all-star catchers who are trade candidates. Here's where each of them stands. Full disclosure, Herrera not among the list.
Oh.
The 3 catchers on this list were Colorado Rockies catcher Hunter Goodman. Throw him aside. Athletics catcher Shea Langoliers and Baltimore Orioles catcher Adley Rutschman. Those 2 I want to focus on. Langoliers, Rutschman.
Why don't you want the first guy, man?
It's like first year of doing it. He wasn't even like a real prospect. He's
You don't
doing
trust
it at Coors.
Colorado hitters?
I just don't trust it. So
I wonder why, man. Holiday was great.
If you believe in him, we can talk about him at a later date. But right now, I'm good on the Hunter Goodman. T-Bone, do you disagree? Would you be interested in Hunter Goodman?
No, not for what he's going to
I
cost.
see what you did there. You're good on Goodman. Nice, buddy.
He didn't do it on purpose.
I really like Shea Langoliers, and I really like Adley Rutschman. I think Rutschman gets some unjust criticism because he's a former #1 overall pick, and if he didn't have that next to his name, kind of like the conversation that we've had so much about Mason McTavish, if he wasn't a top 5 pick, I think you'd feel pretty good about him if you're a Anaheim Ducks fan, but because he's the top 5 selection, you feel differently about it. Rutschman has been good his entire career. He's been above league average outside of last season as an offensive contributor, and he's viewed as a pretty good defensive catcher behind the plate as well. Typically a 15 to 20 home run hitter, like an 80 RBI guy, and good defensively behind the plate. That's a really nice catcher. If one of Baltimore or the Athletics called you and said, hey, we're interested in making a deal. We don't think we're going to get a contract done with either Langoliers or Rutschman. We want to make some kind of a trade, and we're going to target a good hitting catcher to replace our guy. We believe Ivan Herrera can be that player for us. Would you be interested in making some kind of a deal centered around Ivan Herrera for one of Langoliers or Rutschman, Alex?
Well, yeah, obviously, because to me, I feel like and it's weird to say it's an upgrade, but just consistency-wise, like Shea Langeliers, just for example, double-digit home runs pretty much every season for this guy, and he's the all-star this year. Seems like he's a very good defensive catcher for how much they use him at that position. That, to me, would be an upgrade for this team because you're getting a consistent back. Now, you're getting a little older, but you're getting consistency. Rutschman is the one that I'm a little conflicted on because...
By the way, both of those guys are 28 years old.
Yeah, and Herrera is, 25? Mm-hmm. So you're getting older. Rutschman's the one I'm a little conflicted on because I just don't know. I hear what you're saying about how he's just been consistently good. It's just the power has not been there as much as it was in the first 3 years. And that's, like, if I'm trading Herrera, I'm going after something that provides me more pop because that's what I'm lacking right now. But, yeah, I mean, if you're going to tell me that we could center a trade around this, that Herrera is the main piece, I think I'd be all in on this.
I think I would do it for Langeliers. I don't think I would do it for Rutschman. I've never really bought in on Rutschman. He had the one good year, and then it's all kind of fallen down a bit, and I'm not really sure I'm buying his bounce back, and there's less control. The reason I would do it for Langeliers is there's 3 more years of control, right? Like, he hits the ARB system this upcoming offseason. I'm okay with doing that because I got 3 years, and then we can figure out an extension if we want to. And there is a little bit more consistent power there. Now, some people might say, isn't he hitting in a minor league ballpark where the ball flies? Yes, but last year he was very good on the road as well. So I would have interest in Langeliers because not only am I, improving on the power from that spot over Herrera, which I know sounds weird, but I said yesterday, I'm not sure that we're going to see what we thought was that ceiling for Herrera because I'm not sure the power's necessarily there, like 20 home run power that Langeliers consistently is able to get to on top of the doubles. And he's better defensively. Like, if I keep Ivan Herrera, I don't think he's a catcher. I don't care what the Cardinals will tell me. I don't think he's a catcher. I don't think he's that great behind the plate. He can't throw anybody out. He's got a noodle arm. I do think the game planning has gotten better.
Agreed.
I can't believe teams aren't running on him more. And I think eventually that will come back to haunt you. And if he's not a catcher, where's he playing? And that would be my question is, like, are you going to put him at first base? All right, well, I honestly would rather have Burley and his power from the left side to complement with a more powerful right-handed hitting catcher that's better defensively in my system with Langeliers.
So that was going to be my follow-up question. If they said instead of Ivan Herrera, the primary piece that we'd like to target, talking about either the the Athletics or the Orioles, I don't think they would do this, but just, again, hypothetical scenario. We want Alec Burleson. How are you feeling? Would you still be interested in having that negotiation, or are you pivoting back to Ivan Herrera and saying, hey, we're probably not moving Alec Burleson, but we can talk about Ivan Herrera?
So I'm like torn on the Burleson front because on one hand, I feel like you could replace Burleson with Herrera at first base and you're upgrading with more power, but you're also losing that left-handedness in your lineup that I know Ollie likes to have because you trade Burleson.
Any team would, yeah.
You're bringing in Langeliers. Now the lefties you have are Weather, Holt, and Nootbaar, and the understanding is Nootbaar's probably not going to be here long-term, so that you're replacing him with another righty and Joshua Baez. Like,
that's correct.
That's too much in my opinion. I think I would go back to Herrera and say, this is the spot we're going to upgrade off of, because to me, if I move Herrera, I'm cementing Alec Burleson as one of my core pieces in my first baseman moving forward.
Yeah, I would not want to do it with Burley, and I understand that sounds weird because Burley's not at a premium position, but I'm afraid you get too right-handed heavy then. Because, I mean, look at what your prospects are that are coming up. It's Joshua Baez, right-handed power-swinging outfielder.
Rodriguez,
a power-swinging right-handed catcher. They don't really have a left-handed bat that's coming up through their system that I see that is going to be a 20 to 30 home run hitting pop, and I think that's Burley. So I would prefer to keep Burleson in that sense. And then I can just get that right-handed power from Langeliers when I replace him over Herrera.
And just to be clear, I don't think that's happening in part because neither of these teams need a first baseman.
I was going to say, especially the A's. They got Nick Kurtz.
And the Orioles just gave a bunch of money to Pete Alonso.
That's true.
So
yeah,
neither of these teams need a first baseman. They would have to believe that Alec Burleson can play in left.
Yeah.
And the Athletics just flat out don't need him. They've got Soderstrom in left field, so they've got basically his equivalent out there. They're talking about potentially dealing him at some point as well. It's the Athletics. They do a bunch of weird stuff. But they just live
Nick Kurtz.
They live by a different set of rules. I think that the piece that would potentially get something done here is Ivan Herrera. Yep. If either of those two teams believed in him as a catcher, because if they do, they could use him as a long-term answer at that position with a little bit more club control potentially, and a guy that still has that upside as an offensive contributor as well. So they might not be taking a huge step back offensively. Yes, defensively there's some work to be done there, but if they think they could do something better than what the Cardinals have done, that's where you could get yourself into that conversation. I think I would do it. I think I would be seriously interested in either. I'm more open to Adley Rutschman than the two of you are. I think it would require some kind of a contract extension, which gets messy and expensive. But I would be open to either Adley Rutschman or Shea Langoliers, because I don't, as much as the Cardinals have numbers at the catcher position, I don't know if they have a true answer just yet. Maybe they will in Jimmy Crooks. I think he looks more like a number 2 option right now. Maybe they will in Leo Bernal, but I don't know that. Maybe they will in Ray Rodriguez. Man, if what we're seeing with Ivan Herrera is any indication, I don't know that I want him playing catcher long term if he's going to be this good of a hitter. He might better profile as a first baseman to avoid the dings and dents that come along with being behind the plate every day. So, yeah, I think that I would be interested in doing something like this, given how good these guys are and how rare it is to have this kind of a commodity available on the market.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what it's done for Philly. It's not working right now, but look at what they were able to do when they went out and paid top of the market money to bring in a legit premier catcher from the Marlins. It changed this entire era of Phillies baseball. I wonder if the same thing could be true for the St. Louis Cardinals. Coming up next, we'll dive into the junk drawer here on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. T-Bone, all due respect, I think I'm going to have you sit this one out, but I do need some advice.
Kid talk.
I do need some advice.
Kid talk. T-Bone.
Alex, how do you get your kids to brush their teeth?
You don't get them to, you brush for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do they cry the whole time?
Sometimes.
Okay.
This is going to make me sound like an awful dad, but hey, it's hygiene.
Any advice, by the way, on the text line? I appreciate it. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Covered Service text line.
It works for me because I've got multiple girls to where I can make it like a fun game for them to say like, hey, whoever brushes their teeth, whoever brushes their teeth and has the most bubbles in their mouth gets a prize or something like I make competitions out of it. But there are times, Emma, my middle, she is stuck in her ways just like her daddy is, that when I don't want to do something, I don't want to do something. So she will sit there and scream, and I give them the option. I say, baby, we have to brush teeth. I said, you can either brush or daddy is going to have to hold your mouth and brush for you. And I said, I know you don't like this, but I have to do it. And she still won't. And so I will have to like pinch her cheeks together to open her mouth and brush. But in my defense, I don't want my kids to have like, cavities or crowns or gold teeth or something like that. So I just try and get them brushed.
Text line says, brushy brush from Sesame Street will make it happen. Man, we've tried.
You believe me. I have tried everything. It does anything work. Sometimes you just got to brush. My oldest and my youngest, they'll, like I say it, they love it. Well, Olivia loves to get to hold the toothbrush and just scrub, but Emma's the one that just refuses to do it.
Man, it is hard. It's really tough, man. We've figured out the potty training thing. I think we're good there. Knock on wood. We'll have setbacks, I understand.
Words to live by. I think we're good there.
No, we're good for now. I know there's going to be some kind of a regression. We've got the big boy bed. We're good there. I'm sure there will be a regression there. Like, we are mostly set up well for age 3. It's going to knock us in the face. I understand that. But right now, we're doing all right. It's the teeth brushing thing that we are failing miserably at right now.
Yep.
When I say we, I should say I. Cool. Don't want to include my wife but
yeah, no, I mean,
it's not going particularly well.
There's a couple of things that we have just gotten so stressed out about with our oldest and then our middle, Emma. One was the not waking up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. I mean, we spent about a month trying to get Adelaide to wake up and go to the potty, and she kept having accidents. So we kept waking up at 3 a.m., changing our sheets, and finally our pediatrician was like, stop. Like, she's losing sleep, you're losing sleep. Her brain's not there yet. I said, she's going to be fine. Wearing pull-ups for another year is not going to make it the worst thing in the world, because she's potty trained throughout the day. She just can't wake up in the middle of the night. And then the other thing was the teeth brushing. And he said, you can try all you want. He's like, you're going to have to do it for them. He's like, sometimes they just don't get it. He's like, the goal is you don't want them to hate brushing their teeth, which is why we don't force it and be like, you've got to do it. It's just, look, you can either do it or I'm going to have to do it for you.
From the 618, we got a dentist on the line. As a dentist, I can tell you, you need to brush your kids' teeth. You need to brush them until you can trust them to do it on their own without needing your help. Get them an electric toothbrush. They seem more fun. He's scared of electric toothbrushes. That ain't going to work.
Really? Mm-hmm. What's he afraid of with them?
I don't know. The
just
sound.
Doesn't like the noise?
Yeah, it doesn't like the noise. It scares him a little bit.
There's some that play music.
Yeah, there are.
Maybe we can find
they're
one.
Timed ones, too, where it's like it's timed for like how long you're supposed to.
That might be our next move. Maybe our next move is the music one. We'll have to find one of those.
That might be the way to do it with them, too. If he likes music, say, I'm going to turn this song on.
Loves music. I wonder if they have Cocoa ones. I'm checking on Amazon now.
I guarantee they do.
Cocoa toothbrushes, mission accomplished.
But like sometimes you'll say like, I'm gonna play this song, you brush your teeth until the song's over, or something like that.
He said, don't worry about toothpaste. I'd rather do it with just the water. If they'd rather do it with just water, do it with just water.
Yeah, cool. That's what I heard too. You don't have to worry about the toothpaste at that age. Just brush.
Can I ask a really stupid question?
Now, not for adults, Tanner. Tanner, you have to use toothpaste. Kids don't have to use toothpaste.
There are no stupid questions,
This
Brandon.
is going to be a really stupid question.
there
And I'm
are
sure
none.
the dentist will be like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Just ask
These
him,
teeth are going to fall out, right?
Yeah. So what's the point of brushing them? They're gums.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, it's a fair question. But in my understanding, I'm not a dentist. Dentists may say something different. But my understanding is you don't want the gums to get
That would make sense.
destroyed
Totally
and
makes
have
sense.
gum disease
Absolutely.
or something like that.
Get it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, you're brushing
Great.
those.
Cool.
Because the big thing they told us and why they said water instead of toothpaste was they said when they start drinking milk, is where you want to get the milk because of all the calcium buildup on the teeth and then things like that.
Sure.
So you let it in there and it seeps down into the gums. But yeah, that would be my expectation, is you don't want the gums to get
Totally makes
banged
sense.
up and start to bleed or anything like that.
All right, cool. Got it. I'm going to check on the
I'm
old
telling you, man,
Amazon
they've
app
got to
while we're-
have stuff with songs. But yeah, music is a way to go with it too.
Alongside Alex
Or
and
just
T-Bone
hold
and
them
BK.
down.
T-Bone, what did you use growing up?
Oh, I have no idea. I truly have no
Do you
clue.
see how excited T-Bone got when I said, like, that you don't have to use toothpaste? He's like, oh, really? Like, no, Tanner, you have to.
Can you imagine T-Bone going full rhino as his mom tries to?
What do you mean? Can you imagine? He still does that.
Coming
Just
up
goes
in
full
15
rhino.
minutes. Nah, just when we talk cards. Coming up in 15 minutes, let's play a game of Bet It or Forget It. But next, which of these teams are actually incentivized to buy at the trade deadline? We'll give you our thoughts next here on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. I looked into the National League's standings yesterday, Alex.
Mm-hmm.
I think at this point, tell me if you guys disagree, it's pretty clear what 5 of the 6 National League playoff spots are going to come down to.
Oh, yeah.
I think we pretty well know the Braves, Phillies, Brewers, Cubs, and Dodgers are in the playoffs as of today. You guys agree with that assessment?
Yep.
All of those teams, 3 of them are leading their respective divisions. 2 of them, the Cubs and the Phillies, are 4+ games up on the rest of the National League contenders when it comes to the wild card spot. So in other words, the following teams are all playing for 1 spot. The Cardinals, the Marlins, and the Pirates, all of whom are currently tied for the final spot in the wild card.
That away, T-Bone. Your Pirates are still going strong.
The Diamondbacks, who are a half game back, the Nationals, who are 1 game back, and the Padres, who are 2.5 games back. I just named 6 different teams that are vying for 1 spot in the National League. Which of those teams, how many of them, do you think are actually incentivized to buy at the trade deadline?
I would say 3 of them. Padres and Diamondbacks to me are just an obvious yes.
Agreed.
I would put the Pirates in there.
Interesting. Okay.
And I think the Nationals are probably more in where the Cardinals are at, to where it's like, look, this is good, but we got a long future ahead of us.
Totally agree.
And then the Marlins are the one I just don't know. Marlins feel like a team that maybe they buy. They're at the bottom of the buying market to where they're just buying a couple of accent pieces, but they're saying like, hey, we've got a lot of core pieces in place. Let's just not sell, and then we'll look at upgrading in the offseason.
Yeah, I see 3 to 4 buyers in that list. I think Miami's buying. I think it was their president or owner came out the other day and said we're not trading Alcantara. That screamed to me, okay, so they're going to maybe buy like a bullpen piece or something, right? Pittsburgh, it sounds like they want to be aggressive. Yeah, I think they believe in the offense now that they built it in the offseason, and now they just got to fix their pitching. I think they're going to make a couple of bullpen moves. Arizona, I think they're buying. Washington, I'm kind of with Alex. I think they're probably a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I think they're probably do a little bit of selling, a little bit of buying. And then San Diego's the wild card here. I think they buy, but I don't know with Preller. I think he's actively seeing if he can get a really good return for Mason Miller. Now, I don't think he's going to get it, so I think he's ultimately going to just have to stand pat for the most part, maybe add a bullpen arm or a starter. But I think he probably will lean buy, especially because reports are new ownership is willing to give him more financial flexibility. So I think San Diego, Arizona, Pittsburgh, Miami, buyers, I would guarantee today.
By the way, I would throw the Padres into that mix of what we were talking about earlier on teams that might be interested in a guy like Kyle Leahy. They could really use a cost-controlled starter.
They could take anything right now to give them some pitching and innings.
It's crazy because they have so many stars on their team, but then you look at what they've got pitching-wise, and they just don't have dudes that can give them innings, just quality innings.
The Dylan Cease decision doesn't look very good right now.
No, it does not, because Walker Buehler has a 5.5 ERA, Griffin Canning has a 6.7 ERA, Herman Marquez has a 5.3 ERA. Those are 3 of your 5 starters. And then even Randy Vasquez, who's been one of their better starters this year, he's at a 4.5. That would be a below league average pitcher for most teams across Major League Baseball. The fact that they're in this with as bad as their starting rotation has been is a borderline miracle, and it also speaks to how low the bar is to clear in the National League right now. For that final spot, the other teams are good, but for that last spot, you just got to be really good at one thing.
Yeah.
That's it. If you got one thing that you do at a very high level, you're going to have a pretty good shot to be able to make it to the postseason this year. And this is what I was talking about with the Reds. It was the same thing last year. This final spot in the wild card just does not require you to be a great all-around team anymore.
Yeah, and I don't remember what the Reds did at the deadline. I think they did like marginal
Did they
moves.
bring in? Did they bring in an infielder?
They traded for
Suarez.
Brian Hayes.
Oh, that's right, Cabrian
I
Hayes.
have no recollection of their deadline
Suarez
last
was
year.
the offseason, but
I
Cabrian Hayes.
I think Cabrian Hayes was last year, but that was more of a future play than it was anything else. And
hasn't worked out for them.
no, actually, I could have told you it wasn't going to work out for him because that guy can't hit.
Did they get Miguel Andujar? They were the team, I think, that got Miguel Andujar.
So
at the
they got a rental infielder or outfielder,
Yep.
whatever he is. So like they didn't do anything of meaning either. Yeah, I mean, you look at it. I mean, thank goodness everybody's kind of fallen into their own ruts because Miami went on that tear right before the All-Star break and have come out of it losing 7 straight. And if that was just like they were playing 500 baseball, they would probably be like 2 games up on you right now and really make things more easier for Chaim Bloom to say, hey, yeah, no, trader, we're dead, we're sellers, right? We're not in the playoff picture. We're kind of out of it. We're clearly falling. Miami's on the rise. We should sell. The problem is no one in that group's on the rise right now.
No.
I mean, to your point on
All of them lost last night.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
To your point on all the Reds did was just kind of be there. That's kind of what it is right now. All these teams are here, and whoever goes on the first 5-game winning streak is one that's going to kind of start to run away a little bit.
This is the last 10 games for these teams that we're talking about in this mix for the final wildcard spot. Cardinals 4-6, Marlins 3-7, Pirates 6-4, Diamondbacks 6-4, Nationals 5-5, Padres 5-5. Everybody is within basically a game of 500 over their last 10, and that's been the case for the entirety of the season. The high point for all those teams is the Cardinals at 3 games above 500, and the low point among those teams is the Padres at 2 games below 500. Just a matter of who goes on a hot streak. Like the Cardinals had a really good first month or so of the season. Basically have been 500 since. That's enough. And the same thing is true vice versa in the American League, where the Red Sox were horrible. Horrible. They've had one good hot streak. Now they're suddenly buyers. That's it. That's all it takes in Major League Baseball nowadays is you need a good month. I remember, T-Bone, we used to listen to the Roundtable, RIP, to our guys before they...
They're with the Angels too now.
Before they stopped doing their podcast this year. but they talked about it last year where it seemed like every month there was a new quote-unquote best team in baseball. And though that same team that was the best team in baseball for a month, typically what would happen is 2 months later, it would be the worst team in Major League Baseball. And there would just be this repetitive cycle across the sport where you'd never really know at any time who the best team was. But in the back of your mind, you kind of always knew that it was the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Like at no point necessarily was it them, but they were always the team that you'd actually point to as the best team in Major League Baseball. And it feels like that's the case once again in 2026. Like, I don't think the Red Sox are the best team in baseball, but they have been for the last
They
month.
might be the best team in the AL.
Yeah, well, that's
I
the
mean,
American League, man.
yeah.
It's a good place to be these days.
Yeah, because you look at that AL, there's nobody that's
Can you
good.
name who has the best record currently in the American League?
I can't because I saw it this morning.
My guess is it's got to be the Rays.
It is.
Because I was looking at it yesterday.
You guys remember when we saw the Rays earlier this season, what we
Yeah.
thought of them?
Yeah, I watched 3 games. I was like, that team sucks.
Weren't they injured, though, at that time? Didn't a lot of their pitching
A
I
staff?
little
think
bit
they
of their
were-
pitching staff,
Yeah,
but
but
they
not
weren't
much.
terrible.
I mean, they had
but their
Ryan-
lineup was
Their
there.
offense was awful.
Yeah, they had Ryan Valade hitting leadoff on opening day, and
That
that
looks
was
like it's panned out.
Yeah, that was when I was first like, no, they can't be good. And now he's been really good, and so have the Rays.
Way to go, Ryan Valade.
The top 5 teams in the American League right now is insanity. 1, the Rays. 2, the Yankees. 3, the White Sox. 4, the Guardians, and 5, the Boston Red Sox, who, again, were genuinely terrible. So much so that Sonny Gray came out and said, on record, we are a bad baseball team.
Maybe that's what turned it around for him.
And since they had Wilson Contreras calling out the young guys in the locker room, saying they're not used to this. They don't know what to do right now. Maybe they're pressing a little bit too much. That's the team that now has the 5th best record in the American League.
That away, Wilson. See, the Cardinals just couldn't handle when Wilson would do that in St. Louis.
Crazy, man. What a wild season this has been so far.
The team I thought was going to be one of the best, the Mariners, is a game above 500 and is in first place in their division. Let that sink in. A game above 500 and in first place of their division.
The Astros have to be like, man, we can get back in this thing.
The Rangers, too. They got to be like, yeah, we're not that far off.
The Rangers are a game back.
Hell, the Tigers might be
too.
thinking.
The Tigers were the ones that climbed into
The Blue Jays are 5.5 back.
Tigers like this is our jam. This is what we've done the last 2 years
just
where
need-
we're bad and then we go on a tear.
We just need Vlad Guerrero Jr. to not be bad. And
Meanwhile,
we'll just be
the
back in it.
Athletics, speaking of teams that were the best team in Major League
Well.
Baseball for a month, they were that, and now they've been the worst team in baseball
Hey,
for
you can't
a while.
win them all, you know?
Is it?
They've lost 15 of their last 18, I think.
They have the worst run differential in baseball this year. Worse than the Rockies.
I don't doubt that. I mean, they get
Wonder if they-
clobbered when they're at home.
Do you think they need help pitching?
Oh yeah. Oh.
Dude, did you see what happened to them over the weekend?
Yeah.
They went up against the Nationals and lost 23-4.
Now, that's a fun baseball game. Not for the 4 team, but for the 23 team.
For context, let's see here. 23-4, you lost by
Cardinals
19
scored
runs.
23 runs in their 4 games back.
Oh, God.
I don't think they have.
Oh, God. Are you serious?
Hold on, let me look.
The Orioles, by the way, who are 3 games below 500, are minus 14 on the season.
We scored 21 runs, I think, since being back.
My God. Yeah. So, not great.
Not great, Bob.
Not great. Coming up next, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service X line for Better to Forget It here on 101 ESPN. Ooh, hoo, hoo, hoo. 314-399-9646. That's the Your Comfort Service text line for Bet It or Forget It. You guys give us a scenario. We will tell you if we are betting it or forgetting it here on 101 ESPN. Alex, Bet It or Forget It. The Cardinals will trade a starting pitcher at the deadline. One of their starting pitchers at the major league level will be traded at this year's deadline.
I'll say bet it. I think, like Derek said, you can't just stand pat. I think you have to sell, and I think they will sell. So I'll bet one of Leahy, Palante, May are off of the roster post-trade deadline.
I'm still going to stick with forget it. I don't think they're moving Leahy or Palante, and I just don't think May's got the value at this point. I think they're going to wait till the offseason to move on from those guys. Now, how the hell you start Quinn Matthews in the second half, I have no clue. But I don't think they're going to make a move in the rotation.
There's a clear way to do it.
Yeah, by picking up the phone and calling somebody.
Or by putting Matthew Liberatore into the bullpen.
Oh, that's not going to happen.
Oh, I thought you meant a trade. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the move. If you don't move any of these guys and you want to get Quinn Matthews into your rotation, there's one guy that is clearly the most deserving of being pushed to the bullpen. Dustin May's been bad for a month, but at least he had a good stretch. Liberatore's been bad just basically all year. So I'm going to bet this. I do think they end up selling somebody. I would not be surprised, though, if it's not Dustin May. I think there's a real scenario here where they end up selling high on one of Andre Palante or Kyle Leahy, saying, you know what, this allowed us to be able to do something with our rotation. It's an opportunistic sell, quote unquote, for us. And we think we can get similar results out of Quinn Matthews or Hunter Dobbins at the major league level. You could actually sell both of them, Leahy and Palante. I don't think that's what they'll do because they'll say we're short then with our depth. You've only got 2 months left to the season, whatever.
Who cares? We're mailing in the season at that point.
But if you could get a real return for Palante and Leahy, I could see how that would make some sense. I know the Padres made a deal like that a couple of years ago with the Royals, where they traded a couple of starting pitchers and they got Freddie Fermin, catcher in return. That's not the kind of return that I think the Cardinals would prioritize, but there's teams out there that really need pitching depth right now.
Yeah.
Alex, what do you got for
any
us?
return you can get, you're going to take if you're the Cardinals, guys. Bet it or forget it. When Joshua Baez gets brought up to the Cardinals, bet it or forget it, he makes the most starts in left field.
You're saying like from the time when he comes up till the end of the season?
Most of his starts are made in left field.
I'll say bet it. I don't think he's a center fielder, so I'll say bet it.
Yeah, I would say bet it because I think if he's up here, one, either Nootbaar's gone, so then there is no real question as to who starts in left, or two, I think they would shift Nootbaar to center field in that case because I think they would view Nootbaar as a center fielder than they would Baez. And then there's days where you could like DH Nuda as well, like when Herrera's behind the plate. So yeah, I would say bet it. I think he'd be behind the plate.
Yeah, that's one I was curious about on the DH if you get him in on the DH spots, but I don't know what you want to do if you want to do that with a younger player. So bet it on that one.
Guys, we've been talking a lot about Herrera and Burleson kind of tied at the hip, depending on what they want to do with Burley. Guys, bet it or forget it. What we call kind of the core four this season for the Cardinals will all be on the roster opening day 2027.
I'll say bet it, because I don't think they're going to pull any aggressive move off like that. I think it's going to be Herrera, Burley, Weather, Holton, Walker next year.
I'll say bet it as well. I think they end up keeping all of them. And a big part of that is because of the CBA negotiations. I think if they had a true offseason, it would be more likely for them to be able to move one of them. But the action's just going to be different this year than what it typically would be.
That's fair. I would say bet it as well, but I don't say that with a ton of confidence because I could see where I think Heim's willing to make some of those tougher calls, that Mo wouldn't do. So I could see them making a move, but BK brings up a good point with labor disruption coming. I mean, it's going to be hard to make some big splashes like that.
All right, let's get to these from the text line, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line from the 636. Bet it or forget it, the Blues will be bottom half of the league in offense this year, but top 10 in goals allowed.
I'll say forget it because I don't know if they'll be bottom half offense. I think they've got a lot of depth. I would bet it on the top 10 in goals allowed. Like if they play it right and Hofer's on like he was last year, I mean, they finished nearly at the top 10. So I'll say forget it, though. I think their offense will be a bit better.
Bet it for me.
I think I would bet it, too, because I don't think you're going to get a bounce back from Booch. I think it's tough to predict what Neighbors is going to be as a goal scorer, not as what you're going to get on a nightly basis. And I don't know about McMichael and McTavish. I could see them being kind of underwhelming in year one. Excuse me, it's a little bit hard to swallow. But defensively, I could see where they're pretty solid, because if you're not good enough offensively, as we were talking about yesterday with the expectations, man, it puts a lot of pressure on that defense. And if what you saw in the second half from Mayu is real, all right, I like where you're at defensively.
Better to forget it. Gorman's traded at the deadline.
Forget it. I don't think you're getting anything for him, so it'll be an off-season move.
I'd say forget it. He gets non-tendered in the offseason.
Or they just run it back and say, bleep it.
That's why I think I might bet this. And I don't think you're getting anything of significance in return, but I think you might get a player to be named later. Somebody just takes him on and says, hey, we'll take on this project for the next 2 months. Let's see if we can get anything out of him. I don't know who that team specifically would be, but there's somebody that's probably completely out of the playoff standings right now that says, let's see, like Colorado. Could they try to figure out something in that particular ballpark with Nolan Gorman? Sure. Yeah. And see if he can provide any kind of power there. See if it plays. And if it doesn't, you non-tender him in the offseason. You're giving up nothing of significance. If the Cardinals are already planning to non-tender him, and they very well might be, I think you probably trade him at the deadline. Makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I just don't see anybody making that call to get him. I mean, he didn't show anything in the big league. He showed nothing down in the minor leagues. Yeah. So
I think that's an offseason where it's like, yeah, give us an offseason to work with them, and we'll take a chance on it.
I don't think you're going to have to trade for him in the offseason.
Yeah, you're just going to get him on
I
the
think he's going to be a non-tender candidate.
Yeah.
If I was in the Cardinals' shoes, I'm not giving him a contract this offseason.
I wouldn't either, especially because he's ARB eligible, isn't he?
Yeah, he's arbitration eligible. He's making $2.5 million bucks this year.
Not going to make a lot of money.
4 to 5.
I'd love to hear that arbitration case of why he should make 4 to 5.
Don't worry,
he's already making 2.7.
Well, that's fine, but you spent all season in the minors.
That's why he's getting non-tendered.
Yeah, and I think in the ARB season, I think you're guaranteed like a 10% raise or something.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
He's going to get at least $3 million minimum.
Yeah,
and he's not worth that. No. To the Cardinals or maybe to anybody. So, all right, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line from Merp the Barbarian. Better to forget it, Riley O'Brien will remain the Cardinals closer for the remainder of the season.
I'll say bet it because I don't think they're going to trade him.
Agreed.
I'll say bet it. I could see a scenario where it happens, but right now I still lean that they're going to stick it out with him. But if you don't trade him, he continues to struggle. Why not try Soriano there, right? I mean, you could boost up Soriano's value if you end up keeping him, and O'Brien just kind of shifts into the inning role.
I wonder if they try. I guess they wouldn't try Gastelum there because that wouldn't go well. Soriano's probably the only other guy you're going to try in that spot.
That's my view on it. I think they might trade Stanek too. He's a guy that I know
one makes sense.
I know he's incredibly frustrating to watch, but he's got the swing and miss stuff that teams covet. He has a history of performing in the playoffs. I could see him being a guy that has a little bit more interest at the deadline than what we're currently expecting. From WJJ Jetherholt. Excuse me. I know.
A lot of letters.
Change the name.
Better to forget it. Jordan Walker will finish top 5 in the NL MVP voting.
Say bet it.
It's going to be closer than I think people are expecting. Shohei's definitely going to be above him. He's winning.
Yeah.
No, you don't think so?
I don't know, man. Him being hurt kind of brings down the value from the pitching side.
He's already banked, 20 starts this year?
Ish.
How many starts does anybody else in Major League Baseball have that as a hitter?
Brandon. People are tired of voting for Ohtani, right?
Okay. He's a 930 OPS, and as a pitcher so far this year, he has a 1.8 ERA in 15 starts. He threw 85 innings.
Yeah, he's not
He's been worth 6 wins as a pitcher plus hitter combined through 95
Brandon,
games.
I don't think you're hearing me. He's not pitching right now.
Okay. He's going to win it. Pete Crow Armstrong, I think, will get votes. He'll be top 3. Schwarber, Wood, Soto, Mizorowski might get some consideration from people, depending on how the rest of his season goes. So I'll say forget it. I don't think he ends up in the top 5.
Yeah, I would say forget it as well. I think it'll be close, but I can see where he ends up being out. And the other thing that could hurt him is what the Cardinals do, right? Like, I hate to say this, but if the Cardinals don't make the playoffs, it's less likely that he ends up getting top 5 votes. They make the playoffs, there'll be a lot of momentum as to everybody going, wait, how did the Cardinals get here? And then they look at Walker and go, wow, that guy played like an MVP. All right, I'll put him in my top 5 on my ballot.
You guys aren't true Cardinals fans. Stick with him. He's going to get there.
I hope so. I think that'd be great. But I don't think he's going to end up in the top 5.
What a pose. I bet you Bobby Witt Jr., you're probably thinking he's going to finish up there.
No.
It seems pretty unlikely.
Well, I mean, I heard the Royals were doing good.
No, it's the National League. He's in the AL.
No, I said in the American League.
Oh, yeah, I think he gets top
See?
five.
See?
He's one of the... Dude, it's not a high bar to clear.
Well, his team's not doing much to help him.
You're correct, but the league stinks. Everybody's terrible in the American League, as we talked about just a little while
I think
ago.
there's a chance Contreras finishes top 5 in the
Walker
AL.
probably could have won it in the American League.
Contreras, by the way, is 100 to 1 odds to win the AL MVP right now.
I'm telling you, it's going to be Alvarez because Alvarez is currently, I think, leading the clubhouse for the Triple Crown. But I like Contreras. I think could be top 5. I think he's at like a 164 OPS. He's been awesome.
He's been amazing. He's one of the biggest reasons why they've been able to stay in it. All right, alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, you've got BK and Ferrario
Park
here on 101 ESPN. Coming up next, is the SEC about to go rogue? We'll talk about that next here on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here with the Sports Center update brought to you by Universal Windows Direct. Cardinals fell to the Angels last night 3-2. Game 2 of their 3-game set out in Anaheim is tonight. 8:38 will be first pitch. Matthew Liberatore will be on the mound for St. Louis. The Sports Center update is brought to you by Universal Windows Direct. You'll be saying, I love my windows.
Are you taking these threats seriously from the SEC? Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, you've got BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. So some of the talk coming out of SEC Media Days over the last couple of days, Alex, is be careful. be careful, NCAA. If you don't get this figured out and get stuff passed through with legislation to be able to have some rules that exist across college football, we'll go ahead and take it into our own hands. We'll break away from the NCAA. We won't play any of you guys. It'll be the SEC versus the world. We will have our own, like, enforcement agency. It will just be the SEC is separate completely from everything else. Are you taking that seriously, or do you think this is an empty threat from them?
I think it's an empty threat from them. I think it just continues to pop up to where they do this because it's media day and you try and get some looks over here. But I think at the end of it, it always falls back into what it's been, to where you've got multiple conferences. And I don't know. This just always feels like the empty threat from the SEC that we're bigger and we're better than you and we'll pull away from it. But it always falls back into, no, same old with the NCAA.
I think it's a real threat. I'm at this point, though, I'm just like, shut up and go do it if you're going to do it, okay? I'm tired of hearing it from the SEC. I think they're true about what they say about potentially doing it. And if I'm the rest of these conferences, I'm saying, all right, go try it. You know, if you have success, then the Big Ten will follow and they'll do it, and then we'll be all shattered across all the different verses of all the conferences. But I think they're real about it because I think they view themselves as we are better than everybody else and we could be fine on our own. So I think they're real about it. I would also add this, though. For all this talk of we want our own legislation, then if the NCAA is not going to do it, then we're going to go do it ourselves, then get behind the bill that's trying to be passed through Congress. They're the ones who keep trying to hold that up. You know, they're talking out two sides of their mouth of, well, we want legislation. Well, only if we can really get it the way that we want it. And right now it's not 100% the way that we want it.
Yeah. I believe they are actually looking at this. I buy that. I don't think that this would make sense, though. Like, if you're the SEC, let's think about this, right? Reach the logical conclusion here. Okay, so we break away from the rest of college football. Let's just focus on football because, let's be real, that's where the decisions are made. That's what's driving everything. It's why right now UCLA is playing against Rutgers and volleyball, right? Like they're in the Big Ten exclusively because of the football paychecks that they're able to get. That's it. So if we use that as the starting point, okay, so now you're just going to play a 12-game conference schedule every year? That's what we're doing here? Okay, so if you're a school like Missouri, for example, every year you will play Bama, Arkansas, Auburn, Florida, Georgia, LSU, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Texas A&M, Vandy, and Texas. That's your schedule. So you're going 4-8 every year? You're cool with that? You're signing up for that willingly? Probably not, right? Okay, so you're Alabama then. You're playing a 12-game conference schedule, which means every year you probably play against Georgia, LSU, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Texas A&M. So you're losing 2 or 3 of those games? All right, now what does that mean for the playoff? How does that factor into all of this? Because the rest of college football is still playing one another. They've got 8 or 9 conference games. They're playing against a few non-con opponents that they know they're going to win every year. And so you go 10-2 against that schedule. You think already there's a disparity in quality of schedules between the SEC and the rest of college football? Well, good luck figuring out what the college football playoff scenarios look like here. Good luck.
Oh, my guess would be the SEC would do their own playoff, too. That would be my guess. Is that they would do a whole conference schedule and then they'd have like a 1-8 playoff.
That would make, and that's money too for the SEC when you go and break away from your doing your own playoff thing.
What do you think the appetite would be for that, though? Like the viewership for that, don't get me wrong, it would be there, but that is so regionally broken off from the rest of America.
And what's the end game?
Are people in Washington checking out a Georgia versus Auburn game?
I think they would, because I think people across the country
when they know we're never playing against them.
Well, and see, that's the thing.
Yeah,
like,
it just depends. Like, because I think in Washington, for example, we'll use them, right? Because you brought them up. All right, so let's say the Huskies are playing, I don't know, Illinois. They can't beat us. But let's say they're playing Illinois.
Didn't they literally just beat you?
Shut up, man. It's about the story here. But it's about, let's just say they play Illinois at like
can't beat us.
6 o'clock that night, you know, and we'll say Central Time, just to keep it simple for everybody. So let's say they play 6 o'clock. Well, what game are they going to want to watch in the 11 o'clock slate? It's probably an SEC football game, if we're being honest. Now, maybe you get one Big Ten game that's pretty good.
I was about to say, wouldn't you would be more likely to watch the games that you would see your team play, right?
Even if you want to watch, like, for example, I'm a Big Ten guy, right? Because Illinois is in the Big Ten. I'm watching SEC football, right? Even before I went into this, I would probably be bouncing around games. And if we're being honest, you know some of the best talents in the SEC.
Sure, but would that change if you know your teams are never going to play against them and they don't participate in the playoff?
I don't think so, because I think you're a fan.
Anything that exists within your sport. It's
Yeah.
almost separate now. It would be like watching AAA versus Major League Baseball, right? Like it's a totally separate entity. Yes, it's the same sport, but it is different in every other possible way. It's completely disconnected from the rest of the country, and that like they will never play against each other on the field. There would be no scenario in which they would line up across from one another. I don't know. I would imagine that would become a different viewership thing, which I would think that changes the viewership numbers, which again, I would think that changes the number that is associated with the dollar figures.
Well, and
because if you're getting fewer eyeballs, the SEC will get less money for its TV packages in that scenario.
Well, and that's my thing too. Like as a fan, like you got to go off of what's the end game here. And if I'm not even going to face somebody in the SEC to crown what the champion is, then why do I care? Like I'm not going to, even if it is best on best, like I might flip to it, but I don't know if I'm invested in it as much as I am. Hey, my team's potentially going to be in the college football playoffs. That's the team I have to go up against.
I Hate Paper Straw says conferences become like European soccer leagues in this scenario. A little bit, yeah, where it's like totally separate entities. Right? Like in Europe, you have La Liga, you have the Premier League, you have Bundesliga. Those are all completely separate. And then you have like the Champions League, which is separate from that, and you
like
get some of the best teams.
Playoff, if you could ever come up with a body that would agree on everything.
I just don't know how you would get to that.
Yeah,
right?
that's
Like
the thing. I don't either.
How do you determine
because I think if the SEC breaks
who's getting
apart,
in?
they would try and pull more teams with them too, right? Like I don't know that they would just break apart and say, wipe our hands, we're clean, we're done. Like they're going to contact Notre Dame. Notre Dame, come join us. Make this bigger, right?
My guess is you would just get like a merging of the Big Ten and the SEC in this scenario.
Yeah.
Like we
I
just
think that's
become one
probably
big
right.
super league, right?
Yeah.
Does anybody want that? The answer is no,
No,
right?
I mean, but can
wouldn't.
I be honest? Do they care what we think? I mean,
Clearly no.
we didn't
Mizzou
want-
doesn't play Kansas.
We
Basically.
didn't want Mizzou in the SEC. You know, you didn't want Washington in the Big Ten. You didn't want the expansion of the NCAA tournament.
fair.
You didn't want the expansion of the college football playoff
Nobody
to
cares about it.
16 already that they're talking about.
The SEC's not going to care because if they've got money coming their way, that's all they care about.
Yeah.
We're the powerful entity. All we care about is the dollars.
By the way, somebody on the YouTube chat, Walrus King, says Champions League is like the college football playoffs. It is to a degree, but don't they have UEFA, which oversees that?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like you'd almost have to have. They can't
That's
even
the
agree.
NCAA.
Yeah, well, they can't agree on the NCAA, and they can't even agree on the current format for the college football playoff.
Right, but in this scenario, if you were going to present those as being comparable, the NCAA is to college football right now what UEFA is to European soccer.
Yeah.
And like the La Liga is the Big Ten, and the Premier League is the SEC, and Bundesliga is, you know, the ACC, et cetera. And so you have all of those individually where, yes, they are operating on their own, but then UEFA oversees all of them the way that the NCAA oversees all of these individual conferences. This would basically be as if those individual leagues in Europe broke away from UEFA, and now they solely exist to determine their respective outcomes. I don't know how that works.
And this is the thing where
We've never seen that before in professional or localized sports here in America.
And this is what I was saying there at the beginning, because like as much as you want to cry about there is that body that is overseeing everything, you have that right now. Yes, what they are saying is fair of, hey man, we have this body, but it has no power. Yeah, I agree. That's why Congress got involved and passed that College Sports Act. And guess who's in the middle of it fighting it now? The Big Ten and the SEC that are saying, yeah, but it's not enough power for us. Maybe we don't want to sign that dotted line. Okay, well, you can't be crying about we don't have this body that has power and then crying that you're not getting enough power yourself for having that kind of a body when Congress tries to get involved.
Somebody on the text line said, Carrot says, MLS is the MAC of college football. That is disrespectful to the MAC.
Yeah. We're more of like the Big South in the FCS.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Nothing like being the Big South.
Yeah.
'Cause
Somebody's watching those games.
Yeah, somebody.
the American has good teams. The Mountain West, that's what it is. It's the Mountain West.
No, that's just too cruel to the Mountain West now.
No, I disagree. The Mountain West is pretty bad nowadays, man. It used to be good. It's pretty bad nowadays.
Man,
Sunbelt's got some good squads. That's where James Madison was last year.
I still think it's a little much on. That's more of the Denmark League where that city just got their guy.
Come on, man.
No, I think it's true.
Man.
I think it's true.
Damn, don't take down the City SC like that, man.
Coming up next, we'll get into the rewind here on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. You've got BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN from the 618. You guys think Messi's playing in the Sun Belt? Yeah, basically.
No, I said in FCS is where I think Messi's playing. But yeah.
The Sun Belt's better than where Messi is playing. That's what we've said.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a higher level of difficulty.
Without Messi, I think it would be the Sun Belt.
It's 1:51. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex
You know
jeweler.
how Chambliss was probably dominating Division II? That's kind of messy right now.
Yeah. More or less.
Yeah.
Cardinals lose last night. Just an absolutely devastating loss. You go into the ninth inning, you're up 2-1. You leave the ninth inning, you're down 3-2. You've lost the game. Riley O'Brien hits a batter in order to lose this thing. Yes, there was a BKO situation as well. Joe Adell, we said, was the worst hitter on the team. I said that specifically at this time a day ago. He goes on to hit the home run that made it 2-1.
Can't believe I stayed up for that crap.
It wasn't good. Alex, over the last couple of days, you can make a pretty strong argument. These have been the two most devastating losses of the season. This has been a team, though, that has been built upon bouncing back. They have found ways to respond to adversity. Well, they just lost to a team that Their last 106 appearances in the ninth inning when they were down, they had not come back. And you found a way to do it. Are they going to be able to bounce back with Libby on the mound tonight, man?
I'll give Libby credit. It's looked a little bit better than what it did prior, but I think you do bounce back tonight against the Angels because, man, if you continue to lose to the Angels, it's hard to justify anything. Bounce back in a way to where I feel like I'm confident in them pushing towards a playoff spot. I don't think that's going to happen because even if you bounce back with this one, I still don't trust your bullpen in any scenario. And without your offense clipping with your top 4 all hitting, you're going to be in tight ball games. And you held a 7-run lead against the Diamondbacks and it didn't hold. So right now, you may bounce back tonight, but in the big picture, I don't know if I'm going to avoid the tight butt cheek feel every time the Cardinals go to the later portion of the game.
Yeah, my thing isn't so much focused on the bounce back of tonight because I think they will, right? I mean, it is the Angels.
Wait until you hear what I have to say.
Well,
but
okay.
My question is, we keep saying, well, this team, every time something happens, they bounce back. Okay, kind of. But they haven't been that good since the Royals series in Kansas City. They've got the 5th worst winning percentage in baseball since then. So their quote-unquote bounce back is like they win a game, then they lose 3 more, right? They've avoided that long snowball like the Marlins are going through right now where they lose 7 in a row. So there's some credit to that, but they haven't bounced back like when we talked about them early in the year when they got swept by Seattle here at home. We said, boy, is this going to happen? What would a bounce back look back? They went to Pittsburgh, swept a 4-game series, took 2 of 3 from the Dodgers, earned a split with Milwaukee, split a 4-game set in San Diego, took 2 of 3 at the Athletics.
That's a bounce back. That's a response.
Yeah. Right now, they're just kind of getting back up and then getting knocked right back down. And then they get back up before the countdown gets to 10.
The getting back up is valuable.
Let's
not understate this. That is a huge part of keeping yourself in the mix. Their willingness and ability to get back up off of the mat is why they are in position right now to even have a conversation about being a playoff team. And if they're able to do that again, they can stay in that mix as we get closer to the trade deadline. My fear is this is the time that they get knocked out. And the reason why, look at the bullpen, guys. It's been bad, and who's available tonight? I'm guessing Ryan Stanek is unavailable. I'm guessing George Soriano is unavailable. He's already gone 3 of the last 4 days. You're going 3 in a row with George Soriano and 4 out of 5? Probably not. Is Riley O'Brien available after that?
After that one, I don't think you want to go to him.
My guess is they go right back to him if there is a closing situation, but they're probably only going to him in the event that there is a closing scenario. So you're probably going to see Brewell, Gastelum, Swanson, and Blewett. My guess is those are the 4 arms that are lined up tonight to be able to go for you. And Graceffo, I have no idea if he's going to be available either. He's thrown 35 pitches over the last 3 days. So if you go today, it's 3 out of 4, and he's probably going to be off for the next couple of days as well. So they're in a tough spot when it comes to their bullpen tonight. And that is with a bullpen that was already ineffective and now overused. At least if you won that game last night, whatever, I'll live with the results today. But you lose it and your bullpen's fried? Oof. That's a total double whammy right there. And that's what last night represented for you. So I think they lose tonight. I think they lose this game against the LA Angels, and you go into tomorrow hoping to avoid the sweep. And thank God Michael McGreevy is on the mound. If that's not enough, here's this from Brian Walton over on Twitter just a little bit ago. As the Cardinals reportedly consider adding a 6th starter to the rotation later this week, it is worth noting that on Thursday, Memphis is listing their starter as TBD. That would be Hunter Dobbins' spot. As of now, Quinn Matthews is listed as the starting pitcher for Friday with the Redbirds. So congratulations on Hunter Dobbins probably being added to the mix.
He had a little tone there. I don't know if Hunter appreciates that.
Path of least resistance, baby.
Yeah. That's what that is, right?
Don't have to make a 40-man move because what would we do without, I don't know, Cesar Prieto?
Or Blewett.
Or Blewett.
The guy that is
or Pozo.
Oh, no,
Pozo's
on now. They finally made a move on Pozo.
Yeah, they got rid of that one for once.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
so
I really don't know what the hold
Blewett's
would
the
be
new
then.
Pozo.
So have fun tonight. Enjoy the game.
All right, right.
You guys
Raise your
missed any
hand
of
if you
our
think
show?
BK's doing this because he's trying to reverse BKO.
Check out
It's not
going to
work,
that way.
man.
Check out the podcast page,
You're gonna win 5 in a row.
101ESPN.com. Free 101 ESPN app is where you go to find it. It's all sponsored by.
Shave for Door Company.
Talked to Derrick Goold earlier today. Talked to Jeremy Rutherford as well. We'll be joined by Chris Kerber, the voice of the Blues, tomorrow. I'm sure we're going to have a new edition of the Last Minute Blues podcast.
We will.
Very soon, and we'll have a new Redbird report as well. You can find all of that over on youtube.com/101ESPN STL. Appreciate you tuning in today. We'll be back tomorrow. The Fast Lane is next year on 101 ESPN.